So, welcome to our Season 5 Campfire Chat recap. We're going to be going over the notes we already have now. So this is the big notes that they gave us with everything in there. But there's more to come, especially I might have a little teaser that I'm not sure if I'm actually allowed to talk about, but here's already one unique teasered. But we'll be getting patch notes, and there might be maybe all uniques in there that get changed later, which would be crazy to see all of them, because this Harlequin crest is from 7 to 20% cooldown reduction. That's not a little bit. That's tons. That's tons times 10, right? That's crazy. So the key change is already the 30 levels that we just talked about, right? So this is really good. Why is this so important? So they have an example. So a level 60 character kills a level 80 monster that used to be level 70 monster experience. It's kind of sad, right? But now it is. A level 60 kills a level 80 monster. It's level 80 monster experience plus the bonus experience. So you're getting finally rewarded for actually killing higher monsters. Enchanting no longer requires Angel's Breath and relies on the respective salvage from legendary. What? What? I did not read this. You are kidding me, right? Enchanting no longer costs Angel Breath. That's a tiny thing, but like it's still great because I don't want to pay Angel's Breath for everything. You'll play Bone Spirit the next season. I haven't decided what we're going to be playing. We might start with Bone Spirit. We might level with minions. I need to see how the uniques changed. So the new Harlequin crest is insane, right? It's like mental how much they buffed the Harlequin crest, that it's now up to like goddamn 20% cooldown reduction with like the maximum resource and everything. But if the Harlequin crest could change so much, what about the other uniques? So if the other uniques are going equally crazy, there might be other builds that are worth it, right? So that's what I'm thinking about. Crowd control for enemies is reduced and you can now use potions. This one is a surprisingly big one. I do actually like this, you know? So that was crowd controlled. This can heal while you are stunned by enemies with potions. So you can actually take potions while you're stunned. That's kind of like, I love that change a lot, right? So we got Profane Mindcage's return and stack up to 3 times, which allows us to fight enemies up to 30 levels above. And this is so important. So we got Helltides. Mind cages are back and can be stacked up to 3 times, equals to 30%, equals to 30 levels higher enemies. Maximum bonus XP. So as soon as you have 3 cages, you can just stack them up and get the maximum bonus XP. If it's worth it, that's the question, because you got to kill enough, right? Xenius, on that picture, there's no X out of 12 upgrades shown. You can definitely masterwork. You can masterwork everything still. So it should be possible to masterwork this. I do believe it's simply not shown because the character is not at the masterworker, but you can definitely do masterwork. Right? Therefore, I do believe you should still be able to masterwork. I mean, maybe the character here is not in the masterworking yet, because as you can see, like there's some gear is masterworked already. No, some gear is actually masterworked already for. But it would be crazy if you couldn't, because then without masterworking, this item wouldn't be good enough. Right? But we'll know more exactly in the patch, right? It does say legendary drop increase. Legendary droptions are increased past level 100 when playing in Helltide, Nightmare Dungeons, and Infernal Hordes. Okay, so we're getting more drops the higher enemies we have. That's kind of good. So you're finally getting more. I kind of like this. Legendary drop chances. Is it like we're just writing down the key points here in the document. I'm gonna put the document in the YouTube description too. There you go, because I want everyone to be able to access this later. You know, that you points and recap. You later have like the whole recap together. Shaco will be OP with Bone Spirit. Shaco will definitely be OP. That's out of question. But we'll like you should also be able to get it relatively easy. But we'll see, right? So legendary items, increased drop chance of legendaries with enemies 100 plus. With enemies from enemies. Jesus, English. Right, so the higher enemies are, the more experience you're getting. Cool. We like it. Is D4 better than Immortal? I mean, Diablo Immortal is great, honestly. But D4 is definitely better. Uber uniques are now mythic uniques. We know that. And the drop looks great, right? We know that it actually looks great. Every unique item in the game has been updated. This one has me most excited, guys. This is the great rework I'm looking forward to, right? With the season of the Infernal Hordes, we wanted to make unique special again in pursuit of equalizing all builds across the game. I mean, everything is updated. And we'll know more in 21 minutes. So every goddamn unique, right? Our goals were to make build-defining uniques the best item for the skill they support and for the corresponding affixes. So what we're talking about is something like the Blood Moon Breaches, for example, right? So let's open D4 builds here for a second. So we get something like the Blood Moon Breaches, Druid Season 5. Druid, Necromancer Season 5. And the Blood Moon Breaches, they used to give 40% bonus. Now the Blood Moon Breaches give you 100% bonus overpower, as it should. But it might be even further changed because they promised us even more upgrades. Like, just a merely 30% increase wouldn't be enough to really make it a truly build-defining unique. So we'll see how much that actually plays a role. In Helltide, Baneful Hearts drop with increased abundance across chests. So that's Helltide actually. So Helltide, more Baneful Heart drops. What else do we have? So world bosses and are now guaranteed to drop from Helltide commanders. The cost to fight the Blood Maiden in World Tier 1 and 2 has been decreased, and torture gifts now cost 75 cinders. That's not really a big change. Just like more Baneful Heart drops is good. Wait, what do we have here? The enemy friend in Season of the Infernal Hordes earns seasonal progress by collecting caches, drop from selling powerful swords and including elites. Yeah, so there's a new mini dungeon coming though. It's called the, what are it called? The Hell Rifts? I mean, like, there's a new mini dungeon coming you can do. The season introduces Wave-Bait Infernal Hordes, which unlocks during the Eye of the Enemy questline. It's meant to introduce you to your Infernal Hordes, so this questline is available on both Eternal and Seasonal. Playing on the Seasonal realm lets you continue your seasonal progress that began with Off Lambs and Wolves. To start this questline, head to Havzar in World Tier 3 and investigate. Yes, we get the normal questline, but we also get Hell Rifts, right? What is this? Temporary Respite, the Blade that's not honed. In Season of the Infernal Horde, seasonal progression begins in World Tier 1 and 2. Yeah, that's another quest. So we're getting 2 quest lines. We get Of Lambs and Wolves quest line, and then we'll essentially go over to the next quest line. So it's actually 2 seasonal quest line this time. I hope they will not make us grind the new season quest. They give us 2 season quests. The first season quest of Lambs and Wolves essentially has a board that you can play through, similar to the Iron Wolf board that we had last time. Okay, and that's kind of like what we're getting with the Of Lambs and Wolves questline. It's actually kind of listed here. So you seasonal realm, you enter World Tier 1, 2, begin Season of Wolves, progress through questline, get rewards, unlock seasonal progression and rewards, right? Enter World Tier 3, and then you can start the next questline for Infernal Hordes if you feel like it. That's kind of cool. While threats loom in Hantu, the Lord of Hatred's Dedicans are steering themselves into a frenzy across the Sanctuary. You can access the new Infernal Hordes feature. We had that one. Across both realms, you'll unlock a new quest line. We had that too. Thank you, Frizzed, for your 9 months of support. Welcome back, brother. Thank you very much for joining again. But I'm looking for, how were the new Hell Rifts called? Because there was something new coming. Like the Malignant Tunnels, just different. That is supposed to kind of like prepare you for the waves of hell. Attained 50 new uniques. Oh, I'm surprised that we get so many new uniques that we didn't even know of. Right? Any Zoo Wolf build buff. As far as I understood, Companion Druid is stronger than ever. But we get to see what the new uniques do. Right? We got the new Hellbreach dungeons are found within the seasonal realm and provide your first taste of what is to expected with the Infernal Horde feature. Look for these grim passages scattered throughout the land. I want to know what these Hellbreach dungeons are, right? Malignant tunnels were awful. Yeah, that's why I'm saying like Malignant Tunnel. Within Hellbreach dungeons, you'll encounter one of the events you'll be met with when playing Infernal Hordes. Destroy what lays before you and you'll be given the choice of an optional Infernal offering before facing the final boss. Increase the difficulty and you will be rewarded with increased burning ether in kind. Wait, so we'll see what the Hellbreach actually does, right? Spend your burning ether on a chest at the end of the Hellbreach dungeon as that coveted currency disappears upon leaving. So a Hellbreach dungeon is like a mini Infernal Horde, right? So we got like the seasonal mechanic. Seasonal mechanic is once Infernal Hordes, 2 quest lines, 1 with a reward board, and then Hellbreach dungeons, Malignant Tunnels 2.0 kind of. That's what we're getting, right? A little bit. Could be this is going to be like make or break the level experience, because if the Hellbreach dungeons are fun, that's going to be good. If they're kind of like a waste of time, it's like, right? Why would I bother? What I'm a bit scared about is that I can farm monsters 30 levels higher now, correct? And if I can farm monsters 30 level higher for maximum XP, why would I waste my time with Hellbreach dungeons, technically, right? Okay, so the Infernal Hordes themselves got buffed. We got Battle with a Fell Priest, which is unseen since the events in Diablo 2. The Acolytes are coming. There are 5 Fell Council members in total, each equipped with different unique abilities. Every time you face the Fell Council, 3 different members will appear. And upon the defeating Fell Council, they'll grant Burning Ether with the total amount scaling by world tier. So they're dropping more Burning Ether than ever, and the rewards at the end cost less than ever as well. So we'll finally actually be able to get the rewards, right? And you can finally, this is important, Infernal Compass. The key to unlocking the Infernal Hordes lies in the Infernal Compasses, dark devices of occult knowledge. These fiendish keys scale from tier 1 to 8 and can be crafted at the Occultist with Sigil Powder and Forgotten Souls. So this is like the Infernal Compass can now be crafted with Sigil Dust. That means farm Nightmare Dungeon, make compasses. Right? Have they changed the mechanic? That's what we're talking about, Mariusz. So the mechanic is going to be Infernal Hordes, and they're making it easier to access than ever. Infernal Compasses increase the starting difficulty of monsters and the potency of your rewards while decreasing your number of revives. Earn Infernal Compasses by opening Chests of Mystery, Chests of Steel, and slaying Doomsayers and Helltides where they are guaranteed to drop. These also have a 75% chance to drop from Whisper Caches. Infernal Compasses of higher tiers will also drop in the endgame activities such as Nightmare Dungeons and the Pit. So finally, Nightmare Dungeon and Pit drop Infernal Compass. Then we got, what else was it? We had Chest of Mystery, Chest of Steel, Whispers, 75% chance, and Doomsayers. So finally, they're dropping like everywhere. And then for the Interpret Wanderer on the road, Abyssal Scrolls drop throughout Sanctuary and are used to upgrade your Infernal Compasses without having to return to town, allowing you to increase the potency of your compass while exploring the many derelict corners of Sanctuary. So Abyssal Scrolls kind of drop everywhere, as I understand that. Abyssal Scrolls drop everywhere. Correct. Ank, thank you for the 9 months as well. Ank, hope you're doing well. Howdy. It's the patch today. No, the patch is on the 6th. Today's the big developer update. And then you can expect the next 5 days to be showered with builds. Because in the developer update, we will be shown all the uniques probably. All the updated uniques, right? Every single unique was updated. I need a list with every single unique so I can start brain farting build. Because without knowing the updated uniques, I can only make old, outdated stuff. I need to know the updated uniques essentially to truly then go above and beyond, right? But the updates are looking juicy, that the Infernal Hordes are going from a chore to fun, as they should be. What they're also doing, and this is important, available on both and seasonal Eternal Realms starting in World Tier 3 after completing the questline, we get Infernal Hordes, the wave-based event. Legions of Infernal Demons are densely packed, their numbers increasing in size within the realm of hatred. So they actually did probably increase even the actual hordes in the Infernal Hordes. Because I gotta say, it was a little bit lackluster. We're playing Infernal Hordes, and sometimes you felt like... Yeah. I mean, you call this Infernal Hordes, right? And I feel like I'm pushing over a bunch of demonic children, right? So it's going to be intriguing to see if the revive really, the thing puts it forward. Then we got Infernal Offers, right? The Infernal Offers was like 60 seconds per wave, and then you get the offers. And now it's more burning ether than ever, and the pet collects them, which it doesn't do before. So this is actually nice that now the Infernal Hordes are being, like, the pet collects it, and especially the spoils of hell are increased, so we can now do 20 ether for the normal chests, and we can get 60 ether for the spoils of greater equipment. That used to be 150, right? Vowhead has them all in one page. No, Vowhead has not everything. So we have Vowhead Season 5 leaks. There's some stuff there, but there's not everything there. So there is some leaks. There's some new, unique, and legendary aspects that were shown, and some changes. Like so some stuff kind of fell out already, and we have seen some updated uniques and so on. But they don't have all the info yet. I've already seen some of the reworked uniques, right? So the Harlequin Crest, for example, and they have been actually more. But yeah, I mean, this is already crazy. I mean, look, this is the normal Harlequin Crest, not master worked, correct? And that's the new Harlequin Crest. We're going from 7% cooldown reduction to 20. From like we get 18 maximum resource, we get like more life than ever. And this is without a greater affix, right? A greater affix is a 50% increase on an affix. So do we get a 30% standard cooldown reduction? Ta-da. That's interesting. More we will know in 9 minutes. But yes, Vowhead has some more. I'm trying to find the article right now. We get a preview from some creators, I think they got. I hear from some creators. So if you actually go over it. So for example, the Flicker Step is used to be something with movement, stats, and damage. It now gives more movement speed, and the ultimate damage used to be somewhere around 100% plus or 52%, but now it's up to 300% ultimate damage plus, which is actually insane, right? Because the boots were good before, but giving up to 300% ultimate damage plus, that's really good for Flicker Stab. Not even just good. It's insane. And the Frostbond, for example, which is completely useless, now gives attack speed, and what was it? It was even yeah, it had a lucky hit chance to deal cold damage, which is actually really cool. Kind of makes it somewhat worth it, right? What's the difference on the Harlequin Crest? I mean, Harlequin Crest again is like 13% more cooldown reduction, and that is without a greater affix. And a greater affix, if you get one greater affix right on cooldown reduction, for example, is an increase by 1.5. That's great. I mean, that's not only great, that's insane. I mean, like if you get cooldown, like you're getting your cooldown reduction out of the window like this, right? I'm from Iraq. Thank you for all the information. It's been very useful to me. Well, Tarek, thank you for the $10 donation. That's appreciated a lot. Happy you're enjoying the content. Season 5 buffs available in Eternal Realm. Yes, there is some stuff in the Eternal Realm. Oh, They've already started with the preview video. That's
Would you sacrifice your
just everything about season 5, essentially.
You're gonna meet a guy named Lochran, who at first seems sort of usual, but you're gonna quickly realize that.
Tell me if I have to make it louder.
Something is a little strange with this guy.
So Lochran and Estelle are your allies, and they're going to help you return to Hell. Both of them are experts in demons, and
this is just like a season 5 explanatory video.
More powerful to be able to battle the Infernal Hordes.
A little louder still?
The Infernal Hordes is a new endgame activity in Diablo 4. It's primarily a wave-based activity. You're going to be fighting wave after wave of demon forces
This
in
video's
Hell.
quiet.
So if any of you have ever played wave-based gameplay before, you'll know that things escalate.
We've got meteor strikes and all sorts of things that try to keep you on your toes.
One thing the Infernal Hordes does differently is the notion of infernal offers.
In between each wave, you'll make a choice. You'll be granted
I hope
an
they
infernal
boosted these
offer,
choices,
and
because
by
these
choosing
choices were
one of
awful.
3 of these offers, you're going to change the game mode in some way, a positive and a
They
negative.
were just
You can
boring
imagine
choices.
From the depths of hell, these hands rise out and offer you both a boon and a bane, a kiss and a curse.
And this is a temptation that the Fell Council is making to you. And in this temptation, you're offered more power, but that power comes at a cost.
They seem still like the same boring
and so
ones, sadly.
you get to choose, which temptations you're going to pursue during your infernal run, and then customize your experience from there. One of the guiding principles of this game mode is replay. It's an in-game mode that we want to make sure you're playing over and over again. So we really wanted to create a broad set of enemies for you to fight during this mode.
It's not the enemies that need to be interesting.
To choose from
it's the
in the
banes and the
lexicon
boons.
of Diablo's monster families.
Or it ain't
but
fun.
we're also going to see some other foes you might not expect.
There are going to be certain types of enemies like goatmen who have been banished to Hell that have now rallied to Mephisto and fight by his side. And even some unlucky souls that marched on Hell from the Cathedral of Light have now been revived.
They're my favorite enemies
in Hell
that we're fighting all
fight
the
against
Crusaders
you
now. Corrupted
alongside the
Crusaders.
demons.
Basically, everything that hell has to throw at you, we're throwing it at you this season.
The Infernal Hordes has been built with multiplayer in mind, but multiplayer is not required. We want to make sure that solo players still have a very fun experience in
We
the
want most
Infernal
for
Hordes.
this season.
Now
Good
that
uniques.
said, if you roll in with
Killer
a party,
uniques.
you're going to have a lot of fun.
I want to make
This
fun
game mode
builds,
is going to appear
and every
in
unique should
Eternal
allow me to
and
make a
in
fun
Seasonal
build.
realm, and that means that once the season is over, it's here to stay.
The Infernal Hordes is unlocked at World Tier 3, so really what you need to do to access it is earn your way up
This
to
is not
World
the
Tier
campfire
3
chat,
and
by
then
the way.
complete an
Just
Eternal
a video
Questline
that we have all
that
seen
takes
already.
you back to Hell and then unlocks the Infernal Hordes. For World Tier 1 and 2 players, we've built out a seasonal progression that'll help them become more powerful in order to be able to confront the Infernal Hordes. First is you can earn reputation, and that reputation
grind is going to be
applies
great here. Just get even more rewards for free.
Cards that'll make you more powerful as you progress onto World Tier 3. The other thing we've built are micro dungeons called Hellbreaches that offer a glimpse at the Infernal Hordes mechanics. And they give you a chance to learn the mechanics before you confront the Infernal Hordes at World Tier 3.
I hope Hellbreach are going to be fun. I really want them
The
to be
final
fun.
boss in this season is the Fell Council.
And the Fell Council is some familiar faces that you might recognize from Diablo 2.
These were priests of the Zakarum, holy men who were corrupted and basically became vessels of hatred in their own right.
The council members in Diablo 2 tried to help contain Mephisto in his soul stone. And of course, Mephisto
You know what you notice? One interesting thing, guys? Their video production quality went up since they got bought by Microsoft. And I'm not sure if it's simply because they got better studios now. Because they're allowed to use the Microsoft Xbox studios. They did for their last live streams already. So I'm not sure if this is playing a role
slightly
in
new powers,
the increased
but the
video
same
quality of
animosity
generally
toward
the
you.
recordings,
What's
right?
interesting about
Alone
this
the
boss
cameras
encounter
are
is
just
there are 5
crisper.
council members, but you're only going to fight 3 of them at once.
This allows us to then create many different flavors of the boss fight for the Fell Council.
Seems like the Microsoft
In fact,
acquisition
it's
did
about
something.
10 variations in all. And so every time you go into that council fight, there's a very good chance you're going to have a different fight than the last time you played it. We think it's going to offer a lot of replay for players. What we also introduced during these waves are opportunities for you to earn ether. Burning ether is the resource that you gather during the Infernal Hordes that you can then spend at the end of the activity.
There's going to be a fixed number of waves that you have to defeat, and once you've completed all those waves, then you'll face the Fell Council, defeat them, and collect
You
the
only
treasure.
need 60 for the big chest. They
So
changed
upon
it.
defeating
Thank
the Fell Council, the spoils of hell will spawn, and then you consume your burning ether and opening those chests.
Look
now,
at the amount of
trick
rewards.
is,
You've never
when
gotten so many
you are playing through these
beta.
waves, that's your opportunity to earn as much ether as you can. Different events are going to spawn all throughout the waves around the periphery of the arena, and it's your job to try and defeat as many of those events as possible to try and gather up all the ether you can. Really skilled players are going to be able to really maximize that ether so they get the biggest payout possible at the end after defeating the Fell Council.
So with this burning ether, you'll be able to get new uniques, you'll be able to get new legendaries, you'll be able to get rare materials, things you might have scoured the whole
every
sanctuary
unique
for in
reward.
previous seasons
you.
or in the base game, but now we offer it to you here, down in the depths of hell.
A lot of these new uniques and legendaries really build on top of this idea that they've been forged in hell. And so they're going to have unique looks that you can then make into cosmetics to apply wherever you like. They can also have unique VFX and sound effects to really create the sense that they were forged in hell. One particular one that I enjoy using a lot are boots. Boots, you say? Well, these boots not only have been forged in hell.
I mean, other than
whenever
7%
you use a
to
power with a
20% CDR is
cooldown,
insane
they shoot out a
profiles.
ring of fire
That's not little.
that hits everyone around you. That's just one sample of the types of powers we're exploring.
So death in the Infernal Hordes is quite a big deal. You're returning to the realm of hatred where Mephisto was born. Like, this has to be a big deal.
In the Infernal Hordes, it's a lot like Nightmare Dungeons. You only get a fixed number of revives in order to be able to get to the end.
I have to say, I died a lot in Infernal Hordes in the higher tiers with the build I was going for, and it really felt cool that your death had consequences.
And that increases the stakes that you have.
If you die too much, you'll be ejected from the mode. In the Infernal Hordes, we created a lot of new ways for monsters to ambush the players, and so I'm pretty stoked to see how our players respond to these.
The seasonal quest line and the eternal quest line, they have lots of little surprises and twists and turns in them. And there's even some surprises we've buried deep within the Infernal Hordes that hopefully players will have a great time with.
And now let's begin. I got the receipts ready, chat. The document is out here. This is the Season 5 doc, and we're waiting for them.
Hello everyone, and welcome to our Season of the Infernal Hordes developer update stream. My name is Marcus Kretz. I'm a community manager here on the Diablo team, and today I'm joined by some very familiar faces. Adam and Adam, welcome to the stream.
Yeah, we did it. We took
did
it
it.
over.
Okay,
We took
Adam
it over. It's
is
just
not
Adam.
leading
It's Adam
the
and
stream.
Adam show.
That's
Now we
different.
even have a
Marcus
host.
is.
Yeah, no,
That's new.
It's great.
yeah. And for everyone curious in chat, Adam is not going anywhere. As you all know, there's a ton going on in Diablo. Yeah, Adam Fletcher isn't going
This
anywhere.
one, yes.
Adam Jackson,
I deal with
but
this one.
Adam Fletcher. There's a ton going on in Diablo right now. We've had a ton of live streams. There's been so much going on, so it's just a lot easier to share the load amongst all the, the hosts
we
of the live streams.
we just finished the Spiritborn live stream, so it's been a little crazy, and you know Marcus is here to help out. So you guys may see Marcus more here hosting some live streams in the future. But yeah, I'm not disappearing.
Today, you're
Adam
acting
is
as
staying.
Colin
Oh,
today.
Adam is so quiet on
Exactly.
camera.
Yeah.
Today I get to pretend I'm Colin.
Ooh,
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about that.
a
Some
fun
big
task.
big
I hope
shoes
it's
to
loud
fill
enough.
there.
Every
so,
voice,
yeah.
chat.
that is absolutely true. In terms of everything that's been going on in Diablo, we just had our Season of the Infernal Hordes PTR, and we've got a lot of learnings.
Yeah, but we also do have one additional person. But
Of course we do. Mr. Dan Tangway from Albany, New York. Dan, welcome to the stream.
Hey, how's everyone doing?
Doing great.
Good. Good to see you.
See, Dan's in like the Cathedral of Light. We're in like the Burning Hell. So,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's perfect.
It's hot over here.
Exactly.
It tracks, yeah.
Yeah. Thanks for joining us today, Dan. And the Season 5 PTR.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of learnings. This was our second PTR for Diablo 4. So we have a ton of feedback to get into, but we also have some notes from the community on the PTR overall and some learnings. So Adam, do you want to walk us through that?
Yeah, most definitely. You know, this is now our second PTR that we had. We had one for Season 4, and of course one now for Season 5.
Season 4 PTR was
And,
better.
You know, we've learned a lot.
Petra will be
from
after the
these
show,
PTRs.
yes,
PTRs are
100%.
incredibly important.
Hopefully.
They're huge. They're really beneficial for the whole entire team here. And one thing we heard a lot of feedback, at least from the Season 5 PTR, is obviously as you're playing through a PTR, it's a non-final thing that you're playing. It's still very early on. There are going to be more bugs, more issues just present in the PTR because we are getting something out there a little bit earlier just so we can get feedback in on it. But one thing that I think we most definitely heard from the community is, hey, the tools within PTR at times haven't been the best or the most efficient for players that
That's
need
true.
to actually
I want
test,
to unlock every
the
unique on a
content that we
PTR.
actually do have. And so one thing that we did want to at least address and highlight and acknowledge is that, you know, we do plan on making the PTR experiences better in the future. We do plan on equipping more tools
You
for
simply need a
players out
console
there,
or a
so
vendor
they're not having to sit there and
that
grind
sells
out, you know,
everything.
maybe like all the new legendaries or uniques or something like it, especially in like Season 5, for example. We gave a character copy feature in this one. And then, of course, we had the boost feature, which came back from Season 4. And when you boosted your character, a new character, you would end up getting some of the new legendaries or uniques within Season 5. What happened, though, is that it wasn't all of them. And then we had players within Season 5 having to actually go out and spend their time that they probably could be testing other things, like trying to find those items. And obviously that's like
I had to
not
grind the
most
Necromancer
efficient
uniques
thing to
on
do. So
the PTR
we do want to, we
test
hear
them.
everyone, we acknowledge it, we
Useless?
do want to make the PTR experience better. So I will say that like in future PTRs, and you'll see this gradually over the next couple PTRs, it won't be all of a sudden like things will be completely different. But I do expect like, and players should expect like that we will have better tools for them to properly test as we gradually go through PTRs in the future. And we appreciate everyone like letting us know. Like we most definitely hear you
good
guys,
change.
and we
I'd like
most
to see
definitely want
this.
to make
Thank
that
you, Diablo.
experience better from that. But PTRs have been great. Huge thanks to everyone for jumping in and checking it out for sure. So.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that feedback is so important. So, you know,
Yeah.
increasing, you know, how great these PTRs are is really, really important. And I know for the Season 5 PTR, one of the huge features that we had in there was the Infernal Hordes itself. So for everyone who didn't get a chance to jump into the PTR, Mr. Dan Tangway, can you kind of walk us through what the Infernal Hordes is and what players can
Yeah,
expect?
we just watched the video.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll give you all a quick
But
recap.
we'll see.
So, the Infernal Hordes is a wave-based activity with push your luck choices in between each of those waves. So, imagine waves of monsters coming in, lots and lots of monsters, in fact. And you also have some events, mini events that you can
is
also
this like
participate in.
Rain of
Now,
Arrow,
in
Barrage,
between
Rogue?
those
Weapon-
waves, you're going to be making what's called the Infernal Offer, and you're going to pick a boon or a bane, and that's going
that looks good.
change your
For Rogue.
gameplay for the rest of the run. So it allows you to customize what your Infernal run is going to be like. And so we probably see
it's
right
still a
here. yep,
Hellborn,
we've
Ether
got a
Moss's Hellfire.
Infernal Offer that comes up, so you're going to select one of those, and that will then change, of course, the rest of the run.
Some of the like.
Now, when you complete the required number of waves, then you're able to go confront the Fell Council, who you can see here. And the
Snooze
Fell
Fest.
Council, as you saw from the
Burning
video
Ethers,
that just came on
Snooze Fest,
right
Boons and
before this
Banes.
live stream, are former servants, well, actually current servants of Mephisto, that you defeated in Diablo 2 and have now returned, and you must fight them once more. And once you beat them, you're going to be able to spawn what's called the Spoils of Hell. And these are chests that contain a lot of great goodies. And so with that Burning Aether you've been collecting all through the course of the mode, you're able to choose what kind of spoils you want. You've got spoils of legendaries and uniques, and there's some absolutely great new uniques and legendaries in Season 5, and you
And it
can
costs
probably
way
farm
less
about
ether.
half
Thank
of
you,
them,
Dan.
over half of them from the Infernal Hordes. You're also able to spawn spoils of materials and buy into that, and that will get you gem shards, that will get you Angel's Breath, and of course that'll get you Masterwork.
They didn't need to give a name to the
You
rewards.
absolutely need to complete your items journey. You can also
At least a bit of immersion vibe.
cash out and get a bunch of gold. which, for those folks who are re-rolling their items in order to masterwork them or to enchant their items, is going to be hugely beneficial. And then finally, there's a special bonus chest at higher tiers where you can get a guaranteed roll on a greater affix item. And so, since that's one of the main chases in the final steps of the end game, we wanted to make sure there was an opportunity for players to really, get a little more lucky with it. So, final thoughts on the Infernal Hordes. Remember that it unlocks at World Tier 3. You need an Infernal Compass in order to unlock it, and there's 8 levels of difficulty for it. And so, yeah.
And unless you have beaten difficulty 8,
Awesome.
you haven't won the
thanks
season.
for walking us through, Dan. Super excited to jump in and try to grab some of those uniques. Now, I know considering the Infernal Hordes was such a big part of PTR, we did have a lot of community feedback with regards to getting into the mode and some of the pacing. So can you walk us through some of those learnings we had based off the PTR feedback?
Oh, absolutely. So there was a lot of feedback that came in, and so much so that we weren't able to address it all. But we did distill down some big trends and feedback that we were able to tackle. And so the first off is that we wanted to improve access to the Infernal Hordes.
Yeah, compass drop rates updated. Thank you.
Yeah, it was just too hard to get into the mode regularly to test it. And folks who wanted to get into it very quickly couldn't get into it
50% of item chests
so
actually great.
we pretty much overhauled access to the Infernal Hordes at this point. Compasses still exist, but the drop rates on those have been boosted quite a bit. We want you to earn around 4 or 5 compasses an hour so that you can do about 4 or 5 hour runs per hour. So, you've got, 50% chance to get them from item chests and Helltides, unless it's one of those item chests that costs, 250 cinders, in which case that's 100% chance. I mean, you put in the time.
I mean,
we'll
4 is guaranteed because
and
Mysteries 2,
then,
Steel
Nightmare
is 2.
Dungeon and Whispers, there's about a 75% chance to get one from a dungeon complete there. Compass tiers at really high levels. We wanted to make sure drop naturally from high-tiered activities like Nightmare Dungeons and the Pit. And we've also given you a path to just crafting these outright with the Occultist, with Sigil Power and Forgotten Souls. And then finally, it was a bug that the first compass that dropped from the Eternal Quest, it was actually a World Tier 3. And if you were playing World Tier 4, you had to switch back to actually get in the Infernal Hordes, and that didn't feel great. So we updated that as well. Moving along, the next big thing that we focused on was combat. The pacing of combat wasn't hitting our goals.
That's true.
We had done a lot of internal testing on it. And folks who weren't as endgame focused gave us a lot of feedback where, oh, this is super intense. Could we dial it back a little bit? So we did, but then we put it out on PTR and clearly all said, hey, no, we want more. So we're giving you more. The first thing that we did, though, is we fixed some bugs that actually had a really big impact on the experience. There was a boss health bug. Man, that is hard to say. Boss health bug.
This
that
one is the
caused all the
biggest.
Bosses to be super tanky.
Pets pick now up
at
Burning
tier 8,
Ether.
there were some folks who were spending almost an hour's worth of time in the
Small
Infernal
thing.
Horde, and that just
Huge difference.
that's not what we wanted. So we fixed those bugs and retuned everything, so it's a much tighter experience at this point. Similarly, there was a bug where difficulty wasn't scaling appropriate in multiplayer, so we fixed that. And then some tuning things. So the pace of mini events are pretty much rapid fire at
This
high
was
tiers
boring
now, and
because
so
the
you're going
mini
to be
events weren't
spinning a lot of
spawning.
plates in this mode. The monster spawn rates have also been increased to,
And it didn't feel like Infernal
really
Hordes, it
capture
felt
that
like Infernal
feeling of being
Snooze.
overwhelmed. And then finally, we reduced the wave timer down to 60 seconds, which just creates a much punchier experience for players, and of course retuned everything. And then on top of that, we said, you know what, let's just make it easier for players to pick up Burning Aether to increase that pace. So the pets now pick up the Burning Aether as well. And that's not all. Now, of course, we're all playing this for the rewards, right? And so it was really important for us to improve rewards across the board. You spend time with the mode, you want to be rewarded appropriately, and we weren't hitting that mark in the PTR. So we raised the minimum amount of Burning Aether earned from any single run. First off, every single source of Aether got boosted by 1 Aether. And then we added Aether drops to the Fell Council, so that you're also getting, a lot of bang for your buck just by defeating the boss as well. And that actually scales per tier as well. Next up, we retuned all the costs of the Spoils of Hell. So, the greater equipment,
The
that
minimum
one
amount
with
of
the greater
Ether earned
affix in
better
it,
rewards the time
used
invested
to
in that
cost
run.
250,
Yes.
now it only costs 60. Similarly, we retuned the spoils of equipment and the spoils of materials, so now they only cost 20 Aether a piece. And then finally, we retuned all the rewards that were inside, the chests as well. So, at your bare minimum level, when you first start playing the Infernal Hordes and you're not sure exactly how it works.
What's interesting is the rewards scale more aggressively from tier 1 to tier 8. So finally doing higher difficulty gives you more stuff.
But, if you are spending a lot of time with it and you know how to optimize this mode, we wanted to make sure that, the rewards reflected that too, so that that higher, ceiling of rewards has been raised as well. So you're playing at tier 8, you are going to get significantly more rewards than you would at tier 1.
As you should, right? If I'm putting in the effort and the time,
Awesome.
Yeah, that's
I wanna
quite
be
a bit.
rewarded.
That's
Yeah,
a lot
that's
of
a
stuff
stuff
to
to
change.
I just want to call
Yeah.
out,
that
Dan,
shit.
your shirt is amazing.
I was going to interrupt, but I didn't want to while he was
I'm like,
talking.
now
I'm
I just
digging
want
it.
that shirt, and I'm very
Yeah.
jealous that I don't actually own that shirt. So
Yeah,
I
I
will
think
message you after the stream to let me
Yeah.
know where I can get this shirt.
Yeah, I think someone on the team made it. So I was
Oh,
like,
okay.
yeah, I needed a new
Oh.
shirt for the live stream. So
That is her art, 100%.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, now we know.
Okay, now I know.
it's
it is
good that
totally
you're talking
awesome.
about
I
the
had to
shirt
wear it.
last,
Yeah.
but
It is Aaron. I totally know.
as
Aaron,
more
Alright.
we will be touching base after the stream.
Yes.
Yeah, Dan, that's a ton of changes. It sounds like
Yeah.
we're really cranking up the intensity for the Infernal Hordes. Really, really cool to see. Super excited to jump into it. So I know for the Infernal Hordes, that's one part of the season that's coming, but there was a lot that players didn't get to experience in the PTR that will be coming with the season. So can you kind of share what's going to be new for players coming into Season 5?
explain Hellbreach,
Yeah,
please.
absolutely. So the PTR was really focused on features that were on both the Eternal Realm and the Seasonal Realm. And we have a number of seasonal exclusive features that y'all haven't had a chance to play with yet. So we're going to tell you about them now. First up, we've got the seasonal progression. So you're going to see what we call the reputation system and some footage here in just a second. And the reputation system is something that we had in season 4 and actually earlier in some events, and we've brought it back here because it
Probably
serves as a great
Resplendent Spark,
backbone
I would
for the
say,
season.
right, at the end?
And we've evolved it in some significant ways. So first off, how you earn reputation is a bit different now. It was really important for us in season 5 to give you more of a give you more choice in how you wanted to earn your reputation. So previously in season 4, you earn reputation through just playing Helltides, as you should, because we made a lot of improvements to Helltides in season 4, but here we wanted to broaden it out a bit more. So you earn reputation in season 5 by just defeating powerful servants of Hell, elites, Hellborn, champions, bosses, so on and so forth, right? And so that gives you a lot more choice to say, hey, I can earn reputation in Helltides, or I want to earn it in the Infernal Hordes. Or honestly, I want to take a break and do a stronghold. You'll get reputation there too.
That's cool.
Another small tweak that we made that's pretty important is that when you pick up reputation, you actually get a small boost in XP as well. So as you're continually filling out your reputation track, you're starting to level up just a little more quickly than you did before.
Okay, more reputation,
Now,
more XP.
another thing that you might have seen
That's good.
are these
I'm
big
not gonna
green tiles in the
mind that.
reputation system. And those are seasonal quests. So we made it very clear that hitting certain tiers of your reputation system now unlock the seasonal quests. And it actually starts to weave the narrative through the progression a bit more, which we really like the feel of and we hope to build on in the future. And then finally, again, it's all about the rewards, right? So there's lots of great returning rewards in the reputation system. You're going to be able to earn uniques, specifically class-based uniques. They're going to help you
class-based uniques, that's great.
figure out what you want your build to be early on in the season. You're also going to be able to get other powerful equipment, big drops of crafting materials, and of course, at the very end of the reputation track will be a resplendent spark that you can use to ultimately craft a mythic unique.
Okay, that's good. Then we get a Resplendent Spark at the end again.
Next up, we've got the seasonal quest line. I was teasing it up a little bit with the reputation system there. So the Season of the Infernal Hordes has a rather unique narrative flow because we have an Eternal quest line that introduces, a big new feature that takes you back to hell, right? And so we wanted to make sure that was available to everybody, not just seasonal players. And that also starts at World Tier 3. Now, for those of you who played the PTR have already seen it. That's the one that features Lokrin helping you to get back to hell and confront the Infernal Hordes.
That's a very good quest line.
We've developed an additional secondary, well, not really secondary, an additional seasonal quest line named of Lambs and Wolves, which we're kind of teasing right here. And new NPC named Estelle is guiding you to become more powerful before you join Lokrin to journey back to hell. Now, this one's going to be a little closer in tone to the Iron Wolves quest in Season 4, but it's going to be a bit more expansive than that. And like I said, it weaves in and out of the seasonal progression. So how do they relate to one another? Well, the seasonal quest line is exclusive to Season 5.
Surprise.
And so you are able to get a really more complete picture of the story by playing both the seasonal quest line and the eternal quest line. You can kind of think of the seasonal quest line as almost like a prequel to you unlocking the Infernal Hordes. And but we also wanted to make sure that our eternal players don't get left out. This is an eternal mode that we're introducing after
obviously
all
also
of the
played the
Infernal
seasonal
Hordes.
quest line.
And so, the infernal, or rather the eternal quest line here, which is named Eyes of the Enemy, is going to be available for all players and won't go away after the season ends. So it's going to be there forever. So if you decide sometime down the road that you want to check out the Infernal Hordes and say, I don't know, Season 6, you can do that, right?
Okay, so Infernal Hordes is an eternal thingy.
Yeah, that's
So
where we
not
ended
just
up
meant
with
to be
the
there
quest
for a
lines this season. And then the final thing I want to introduce are the Hellbreach dungeons, which we've gotten a few teases of before, but we can go into more detail here. So these are all new micro dungeons to show that hell has started taking root in Sanctuary. Now, since the Infernal Hordes is an endgame activity, World Tier 3+, we wanted to make sure we had some content that targeted our World Tier 1 and 2 players. And so you go into these, it's going to be a great source of reputation. It's going to be a great place to get some powerful items. And it's a pretty cool place to just kind of experience what the gameplay is going to be like down the road.
So still getting boons and
Now,
banes even
originally
here?
we had kind of patterned these off the Donheim tunnels, if y'all remember those. But with the introduction of Helltide in Season 4, we had to change it up a little bit because I don't think that alone would have sufficed. And so what we did is we pulled in a lot of elements from the Infernal Hordes, and we're using this as an opportunity to introduce those elements. So you see right here, we've got a simple Infernal choice that shows, that basically says, okay, do I want my boss to be a little simpler or a little more difficult? And you get to choose. Hopefully the person playing chose the more difficult one. I didn't see, but you're going to be rewarded a lot more for taking that risk of making the boss more difficult. And you're going to be earning Burning Aether, and at the end there are going to be some spoils that you can spend on. And like I said, you'll get some really powerful gear that should help you on your journey toward encountering the Infernal Hordes. So if you want more details on these, I recommend that you check out our blog that came out 2 days ago. And yeah, thank you.
Dan, that's awesome.
Hellbreach
I gotta
looks super
say,
good.
chat got
Like
pretty
mini
excited
fun
when you
dungeon,
mentioned
right?
domain tunnels. They kind of blew up there. So definitely a fan favorite.
Everyone remembers the dopamine tunnels. Yeah,
right.
And it's great that there's now like opportunities for players within like World Tier 1 and 2 to actually be able to have other options of leveling up.
Fun.
And, with the
You start from zero, go to hero. Start from zero, go to hero.
Yeah, it's a good way to
for people
tease in the new content. and
Exactly.
experience it, yeah.
Then you get into those Infernal Hordes in World Tour 3 and away you go.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Dan, thanks so much for joining us. As Dan had mentioned, we did publish the Season of the Infernal Hordes blog a little bit earlier this week.
That's
we
linked
are
in the
going to have
description of
patch
the
notes
YouTube
that we'll
video
publish
too,
following
by
the
the way.
stream. So for any details we reveal across the stream, you can check those out for more information. Dan's going to join us towards the end of the stream for our Q&A. So if you have any questions, please drop those in Twitch chat, and we'll be pulling them to get into those towards the end of the stream. So we just touched on a ton of stuff that's coming in Season of the Infernal Hordes itself, But based off the PTR, we also have a ton of changes coming across Sanctuary.
Yes.
And to walk us through from the other end of the stream, Mr. Adam Fletcher.
I get to pretend like I'm the person on the panel. I'm gonna.
You designed and did all of this?
Exactly.
Yeah,
This was
put in all the
me.
changes.
Yeah, we have a fantastic design team here, and I am gonna
Always
bring in
useful
my,
if
my
everyone
inner
talks
clone
over
fighter,
each other.
to talk
Very
about some
good
stuff.
for
But yes,
live
as Marcus
cast.
mentioned, there's a lot of changes. A lot of the stuff that we actually did talk about in the blog, and some of the stuff that people heard from PTR. But there have been changes even since PTR, and we have a few new things in here that will also squeak in here as we're talking about it. But one big topic I know that everyone brought up after PTR, and that we even brought up even during our PTR stream, was Helltide specifically. One big topic within Helltides was Baneful Hearts. If you guys remember back during the PTR
Yes, we need
stream, we
more
talked
Baneful
about
Hearts. Thank
how
you.
Season
That was
4,
already
everyone
mentioned.
had a plethora of Baneful Hearts. I mean, it felt like everyone was always carrying about 100 to 150 at any given time, and you could deposit as many into your heart's desire and still always have that same amount. We wanted Baneful Hearts to feel a little bit more special, and so during the PTR, we actually did take the number down in terms of how many you would be able to earn.
And that was a mistake.
We did hear everyone's feedback. People were like, that feels kind of crappy. So we most definitely readjusted the drop rate of Baneful Hearts to really kind of close that gap in between Season 4 and Season 5 PTR. We wanted to make sure that was,
There's one resource you never want to run out.
Better.
You
Like,
always want to be able
won't
to summon the
have
Helltide
150 on you at all times, most likely, but you still have plenty now to be able to summon the Maiden as well. So some of the changes that we have coming up for Baneful Hearts and the raids that will help with this is we're bumping up the drop rates off of chests within Helltide specifically. Players will also be able to get a guaranteed hard drop off of Helltide Commanders now. And then one big thing is within world bosses, we actually have an image of like where you'll be able to now get your hard drop rates guaranteed, is world bosses. Sometimes world bosses actually do spawn within a Helltide zone, and we thought it would be kind of cool that, hey, you killed the world boss there and a Helltide happened to be present in that specific zone where the world boss is. Now you'll just get a guaranteed 3 within that world boss kill, which is kind of nice. So
That's super cool.
We're also bumping up the drop chance to like local events, mastery chests within Helltide, and of course Harbinger.
Collins, thank you for sending your 86 viewers. Greetings to you and your fam. I hope you had a well stream.
Then World Tier 1 and 2 in Season 4 and even Season 5 PTR, you would have to deposit 3 hearts, just like World Tier 3 and World Tier 4. We're actually tweaking that down to just 2, so for World Tier 1 and 2. So there'll be one less like altar pedestal for you to deposit a heart for to summon the Blood Maiden within World Tier 1 and 2, which should help out with,
It just makes your farming a little bit quicker in the early levels.
Exactly. And it doesn't feel like you're needing to put in that many for those earlier levels.
That much easier to chain a ton of Blood Maidens back to back to back.
Exactly, So next thing we did want to talk about is within Helltides as tortured
this
gifts.
one is huge, like
another change
more
for World Tier
tortured
1
gifts,
and 2.
like more
There'll be
XP.
less cinders required to open up the tortured gift chest within World Tier 1 and 2, so it's dropping from 100 to 75 specifically. And then this is something we talked about in the last stream, where it was like really difficult for players to actually kind of go through a Helltide and complete a full-on like Tree of Whispers like progression line within Helltide. So now you'll actually be able to earn all 10 Grim Favors within a Helltide for sure when it's in one subzone.
Even more probably, up to
deposit that
15.
within the Tree of Whispers and get the Whisper cash out of it.
Yeah, and fast
I know
XP
sometimes it
reputation,
would take,
exactly.
like,
So both
sometimes
push keys,
2
actually
Helltides
interesting.
to actually do it, or you would have to leave the Helltide and go to a non-Helltide zone to kind of finish it off and stuff. And so we wanted to make sure that was
Next
more
season's in
efficient,
5 days.
specifically within Helltides. And then this was a big thing.
This is amazing.
So, we
Stacked 3
talked about
times.
during the Season 5 PTR stream that we were, that Profane Mindcages were a Season 4 mechanic. It was only
they were,
within that.
technically.
Yeah. And so it was removed from Season 5. Heard the feedback, and people were like, wow, we really miss Mind Cages. Bring them back. What's going on? So we did bring them back, and we brought them back in like a cooler form. So now you can actually stack up. So one, Profane Mindcage.
So with level
is coming
50,
back
you
for
can
season
fight
5.
level 18
You can actually
monsters.
stack these now up to 3x in season 5. This is seasonal only, so this is only on the seasonal realm
If you then wish
specifically.
to.
But now stacking up to 3x does actually boost up monster
Better
levels
rewards,
pretty,
better
pretty
XP,
significant.
better everything,
Yeah. So you'll end up you could knock monster levels up, 30 levels if you wanted to, and you will benefit or maybe suffer.
It makes sense from level
But,
60 on when
it
you have
does give
ancestral
players
gear
the
and then
option
just
now
go
to use that, and so Profane Mindcage
level 90 enemies,
back
right?
and in a kind of a cooler form.
No,
for
no,
season
XP
5.
changes
Really
for
cool, and
Horde, you get
we
more
really
XP
appreciate
now.
the feedback we heard from
So XP changes is 30 levels above now. That changed too.
just general game updates that we do have. One big thing that we're doing is we are boosting legendary drop rates off of really pretty much almost like most content.
But it also
like
means
Helltide,
that with
Center
level
Dungeons, Infernal
65,
Hordes,
no,
for
level
any
62,
monster,
you
that
can get
is level 100 or higher,
925
so you'll be
equipment
able
now.
to see and just obtain more legendaries that way.
With 3 mind
less rares,
cages.
things like that. Separately, Enchanting, one big thing we heard is,
Pretty
people
good,
were
right?
somewhat, blocked a little bit with Angel's Breath. And so we did remove Angel's Breath as a cost towards Enchanting. It's no longer required. We've actually now kind of just swapped this over to the respective legendary salvage. So for instance, armor, it would be Coiling Wards, weapons, baleful fragments, and then jewelry, abstruse sigils. That tongue twister there.
Abstruse sigils.
Abstruse sigils. But you now have the ability of being able to do Enchanting. Just note that, of course, gold costs are still associated with Enchanting, but now it's a little bit.
Now when you get crowd
removing
control,
a little bit of that friction
can use
with
potions.
the Angel's Breath requirement. And then this is something that we had talked about beforehand, which is just crowd control. Overall, within Season 5 is going to be a lot better. I know crowd control can be sometimes painful, or either knocked down,
Yeah,
or
here
you're
knocked down
stuck
and frozen
like
for a
this-
million years
this
and
poor
crying
barbarian,
and then dying horribly.
And so CC duration has been essentially just pretty much reduced like across the board to like 1.5.
Is it not
seconds
like
max.
level
And
59
then,
plus 3
one
plus
cool
30?
feature
No, they need to
is
be
you can
95,
also
so it's level
spam
62 plus
potions
3
now
plus
while you're
30.
CC'd. Really good for like people in hardcore, or like maybe it's like it creates more desperate moments of like I'm still dying, no matter what.
But wasn't like
you
tier 4
now have the
enemies, they
ability of
start
being able
at
to spam
level
potions specifically
65
if you are CC'd,
anyways?
which is really nice.
Yeah.
We were talking about like charging like
Bloated
zombies,
corpse fiends when they
bloated
like
corpse
all stun
yeah.
you and they do the poison AoE. Yeah.
Exactly.
As a keyboard slammer myself, thank you. For
Yes,
this
exactly.
change.
Next update we have is world bosses. So
Have resilience.
funny enough, this actually fell into Season 5 PTR, but then we forgot to actually put it in Season 5 PTR notes. And we actually forgot to actually mention it. We got a lot of reports of people going like, hey, why are world bosses like tankier and harder to kill?
actually fight back now. Wait,
yeah,
what?
It's
I'm
like,
not
what's
used to
going
this.
on? So they actually had a feature called Resilience on there. Essentially, Resilience normalizes damage across like all world content. So it's like if you shared world content. So like if a bunch of people are all coming into a world boss, you should expect to find that the world bosses will be a little bit more tankier, a little bit longer in terms of the experience that you're having as you're
But that
fighting
doesn't
against
really
them.
make the experience better if the world
And
bosses are just
less,
more tanky.
like, hey, I blinked and it's gone.
Yeah,
They just
oh,
have to
sweet,
do
the
more
boss was
damage
here
as
for
well,
3
right?
seconds, nice.
Yeah, exactly.
3, man,
So-
mine, they barely even spawn in. I don't know about you.
It was actually present in PTR, and we actually got a lot of people that were going like, "Hey, I think this is a bug," and it actually wasn't a bug. It was just
a
something
feature,
we forgot.
yeah.
We forgot to actually mention in the patch notes. So that is our
Not-
bad.
not
but
sure what
we
to think
do
about
want to make
that
sure
one,
that everyone
honestly.
is aware that world
Yeah.
bosses now have a feature called Resilience, and that will end up helping out with those encounters specifically. Separately for bosses. Pit boss damage has been reduced pretty much across the board.
Okay.
And then one big thing that we did want to call out is we got a lot of feedback within Season 4 and of course the PTR for Season 5. We saw some people address the changes that we were having there.
Should a pit boss status now applies
pit
a
bosses
stacking debuff up to
had,
3 times?
this tendency within Season 4
Yeah,
to
I don't
have,
like
very
that.
sharp damage.
Yeah.
Where it would scale up really hard, and there were times where you would run into a specific pit boss. and
Okay,
you,
so damage buff is
could
now the
potentially
same
just
damage than
get
as Lunar
one-shot
Reborn, okay.
Based off of like those, their the shadow boss that would
the extra
appear,
ones coming
the
in would
extra
just
ones that
come
would
one
come
shot
in
you and laugh as they left.
So they lowered the damage,
so now
but then they make
there
it.
is a feature
That's
within
fine.
season 5
That's
where
actually
those
fine now
shadow
how
pit
that
boss,
works.
like affixes will appear, and they'll actually leave kind of a stacking debuff onto
And they
players,
remove one-shots.
now. So and it can go up to 3 times, and then obviously when it gets to the max, you have a very good chance of getting like heavily
punished
for taking up to 3 debuffs from that end. This is really to allow a little bit more flexibility for players, based off of the feedback we heard regarding a lot of the one-shots and things like that. You now have the ability of being able to, take a couple of these debuffs and maybe not like completely get punished from that. It's less about like the perfection kind of involved, but more so being a little bit more forgiving in some of those opportunities. Now,
I like
if you
that
are a person
change.
that's
It's
just
going to make it more fun for the 90%. That's for sure.
things and goes in and immediately takes 3 debuffs, you're probably still gonna learn that that damage is still going to be very sharp with the 3 debuffs. So, but it is something to help out in regards to that.
To be clear, how that debuff works is every time that you get hit with one of those shadow boss mechanics, you'll take the debuff, and it increases all of your damage taken. So the regular boss is going to hit you harder, and the shadow bosses are going to hit you harder too.
Exactly.
So you just don't want that to ramp up too much, because then everything is going to be more punishing.
Yeah,
exactly.
There's a few people already asking about those debuffs in chat. So
yeah, it just increases all your damage taken. So basically, you get some freebies of getting hit by them. You really don't want to, but then after that, you got to watch out, because then it's about as hard as Season 4 was.
And they do 66% less damage. So,
and then another big thing. So this was something that was actually not present in the PTR, but it's something that we've heard a lot of feedback about, and actually a ton of feedback about. And this is group play in pits. In Season 4, the way that it worked was if you were in the pit and you were the party leader, and you had 3 friends that joined along, you would essentially get through the pit, you would get all the masterworking materials for yourself, 100% of them, and then everyone else around that joined you would only get about like 50%. And it felt pretty punishing for people to really kind of
they
join
kind of
up
in
with
Season 4 they were
friends
like
and run
group
through
play, nope.
pits. And we heard a lot of feedback of
group
like,
play.
hey, it'd be great if I'm just joining my friend, we can all just get 100% of the pit material rewards. And so that is being tweaked for Season 5. Now the whole entire party itself will end up receiving 100% of the materials that you end up receiving at the end of the pit. So we appreciate the feedback. Thank you guys for letting us know. And this is something that wasn't in PTR but will be for Season 5. Next up, we have Endgame bosses. So this is something, of course, we talked about during the PTR, and we do want to highlight again because I think this is amazing and will save a whole lot of time.
So nice.
You can now resummon endgame bosses immediately after you
That was a
end
great
up
PTR
killing them.
feature.
So as you're going through the different boss ladders and stuff, you can just resummon.
So
the
kill a
altar
boss,
will reappear,
resummon,
as you
kill a
can see in
boss,
the footage,
resummon, kill a boss,
and,
resummon, right? Just
throw
no
in
life grind.
The mats, and bam. Again,
There
you're
it
fighting
is.
Duriel, which is really nice. No more exiting the dungeon, resetting the dungeon, running back, and then having to do it over again.
Yeah, best feature in
This
Season
should
5,
save up
like
a whole lot of time.
it's such
This
a
should help
little
a whole lot
thing
with farming
that's
as
still
well,
going to add so
specifically
much
for gear.
quality
You'll be
and
hearing
less
a lot about all this new
frustration.
gear from Adam here in a second. But there were some additional changes as well to some of the endgame bosses that we do have. Like for instance, the first one we're going to talk about is the Beast and Ice. The Beast and Ice, of course, required a sigil to actually summon. Or to actually create the dungeon to go in to fight the Beast and Ice. There's no longer a sigil that will be required. And also the Beast and Ice is now way close to the dungeon. It's going to be a short dungeon crawl similar to the other endgame bosses, so you're not having to go through a lengthy.
That's kind of sad with the Beast of Ice because I kind of liked.
Likewise, no more
fighting
sigil
the Beast
dust
of
will be
Ice
required
dungeon.
for summoning the Beast and Ice. And then, of course, we thought about internal players in this situation because some of them have actually crafted a bunch of sigils, and now since sigils are no longer required, you can still use those leftover sigils to immediately resummon the Beast and Ice without needing the mats that are still required for the Beast and Ice. So it's kind of a nice benefit to them. And then, of course, Varshan also got some updates. Varshan required a bunch of different body parts, and now Varshan just requires malignant hearts. And of course,
this is really good that Varshan is now like way easier to summon.
Can convert their old body parts to hearts by going to the alchemist. That's a magical alchemist. But if you ever need a spare heart, you just go to an alchemist. That's just how it works.
Swap it out.
Yeah, that's just how it works. But yeah, some changes coming to that. And then separately, Endgame bosses, for endgame bosses, the boss ladder bosses,
This is
they
so
won't
important.
be dropping rare
Bosses
items
only
anymore.
drop
They're actually
uniques
just gonna
now
drop
and
additional gold,
legendaries.
and of course, you'll have your opportunity of getting legendaries and uniques and mythic uniques from them. So
Don't have to
but now
teleport
we
around
just
anymore.
Remove the rare item drops from them, so it takes up like less of the drop chances that you could get in terms of their specific tables. And then on tormented bosses now drop 5 times as many boss mats as before.
what?
And of course, all tormented bosses have a better chance of dropping a mythic unique. So we are
5 times
boosting up
boss
the
map
mythic
drop.
unique drop. There's actually specifics on all this stuff in the patch notes that people can read afterwards.
Tormented
And we've
bosses
also
equal to
reduced
easy
the Stygian stone cost for the tormented bosses. Before it was 2. And now it's dropping to 1, so it should help out with players wanting to experiment
This is
try
huge.
out some of the more difficult
That you can finally do
endgame
tormented
that
bosses.
are available, which are their tormented versions. And then one big thing that is happening, and this is something that was kind of mentioned in the blog, but and people will see more specifics in the patch notes. Experience is changing in terms of like the XP bonus from killing higher level monsters.
This is
It's no
changing.
longer
This is
capped
insane. A greater affix still
I believe
exists.
it's
Yes.
now. Well, it's
I think it used to be 10 levels
it's
higher,
actually,
you didn't get more,
It's
and now
it's still capped, shall I say? It's
Yeah.
capped to 30 levels. That's actually incorrect
Yeah.
on the slide, but it used to be 10 levels. It's now 30 levels,
Nice.
and that's across all world tiers. So if you happen, for example, if you are a level 50 character and you kill a level 80 monster in season 4, you would only get level
Up to
60,
level 60
experience.
credit, and now
now
you're
you'll
level
get
one,
up to that level 80 experience. So
Yep.
it should help out a lot. If you are willing to go through more challenging content, bam, you get more XP for it. So which is really
Unreal.
cool. And
As
it's
I
also
said,
really
with
nice
level-
that
chat,
because
with
it
level
plays really well
65,
into
we can now farm
stacking Profane
in
Mindcages.
Helltide.
Yeah.
Which
Like
are
a
now
Mind
available
Cages.
in Helltide, because that can actually
925
also increase
items.
monster level by 30 levels as well. So it's kind of a cool little add-on, you could say, from that.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Yeah, I think that's it for general game updates. Yeah, but,
Holy
but
smokes,
again,
already a lot
oh
of
my
stuff.
God.
Yeah,
That's it.
Holy moly.
as I talked about a bunch.
Yeah.
It's all in the patch notes. You guys will see the patch notes afterwards. But yeah.
Yeah, really amazing to have all those changes. Chat was absolutely lighting up
Cool,
with regards
good.
to all the changes to the pit, and of course, even though we've shown the boss summoning reset again, they got just as excited. So
Awesome to see, and
Futuristic power leveling
we
trends all
really appreciate
absolutely
everyone's feedback
cord.
during PTR and hearing,
All
especially
to
about the
level faster
Helltide
than
stuff.
ever.
And we totally hear you guys, and we want to make sure that people got to experience, still enjoy Helltide to the fullest.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean. But
exactly. No, it's really cool to
I
see
talk too
those.
much.
Yeah, those Profane Mindcages coming back. But yeah, Adam, thank you so much for that.
Yeah.
And now, everyone, hope you're comfortable because we got a ton to go over with regards to
Night Gate.
updates,
With
uniques,
78
some bug
months of
fixes,
support.
and a ton of class balance
updates, yeah.
changes. Who better to walk us through, Mr. Adam Jackson?
Yeah, let's do it. So we got a lot to talk about today. I'll try and go as quickly as possible. So yeah, firstly, thank you all for your feedback and comments. We got a lot of class-related feedback on the PTR, a lot of balanced feedback, a lot of
If
just
you
how
say
it feels
that
to
one
play
more time,
things.
you've said it already 8 times.
And we
Chad.
actually reacted pretty heavily and did a lot of changes between PTR and Season 5 launch, some of which I think
Rods,
some people
Nightmare
know and
Dungeon
some
6,
things are going to be new
43.
for you today. So really, yeah, we have a lot of things that changed. In many ways, honestly, it's going to feel like almost from a balance perspective and kind of what your class can do in your journey, it's going to feel almost like a very different game compared to what you experienced on the PTR. I'm going to go through a lot of like the systemic reasons why and then some specific things that we did to every class, as well as, of course, updating all of our uniques and kind of the impact that you can expect from that. So lots to talk about. So first, we're going to be talking about bug fixes. We've got quite a few to go through that I think are pretty notable. Again, we're going to be doing the class balance updates after that, and then the unique changes. So those will be the 3 things I'm going to be covering today. So firstly, as usual, we're going to be publishing the patch notes right after this, so you can read all of them. I'm not
We
going
will
to
go
cover
through the
everything
patch
today,
notes
but
too
just some
after
of the
we're
more
done here,
notable
Chad.
ones.
Don't worry.
So first is one on the Necromancer that we've heard about for a while now. It's a Shielding Storm. This is a legendary that when your Bone Storm damages enemies, you get a barrier equal to your max life. It used to be based on your base life instead of your max life, and now we finally fixed that. To be clear, this is a pretty huge buff.
Yes.
We may have to reevaluate the power of this a little later, but we're going to see how it goes. But now that barrier is going to be very significant as you're hitting enemies with this aspect. Next, we got a couple on the Barbarian. The first one is the Twister glyph. This is a Paragon node glyph. It wasn't properly giving you bonus multiplicative damage when casting Dust Devils. So Dust Devil builds will be a little bit stronger. We also fixed an issue with the Tempering Earthquake duration. Beforehand, there was a bug where it was actually lowering the DPS of Earthquake because it was increased the duration, and then your DPS would go down. So we fixed that. So it's now actually just going to make you hit harder.
Thank you.
Next one, I'm going to call out our one of our content creators, Woody Joe. Here, this is why we have PTR. He found a neat little oversight that we had with a passive called Trick Attacks, and I'm actually going to go over this in a little bit of detail because it's supposed to be coming a little later.
3 seems completely
39 ranks, so offensive passive is pretty good. So a little bit of background to this. Basically, we changed how this passive Trick Attacks, what it does. It went from something that was more utility-based, where it was around CC, and we turned it into damage. But we didn't update under the hood for like tempering and where it can appear from a utility to a damage recipe of where it would show up. And so it was appearing on utility, which is a lot more common than damage, and then you could get it to silly ranks like this.
Yep.
So to fix this, right now, or on the PTR, I should say, it was on this recipe called Alchemist Control, where it was with Chilling Weight and Shadow Crash, which are also like CC-based passives. For Season 5 launch, we're actually going to be disabling this recipe from dropping. You won't be able to see it for a patch while we fix this bug. And what we're going to do is, once we re-enable the Alchemist Control recipe to drop, Trick Attacks won't be on here anymore. What we're actually going to be doing is we're going to be taking Flurry Size from another recipe called Rogue Innovation here. We're going to be moving Flurry Size, which is more of a utility-based thing, and moving that over to Alchemist Control, and then just removing Trick Attacks from Alchemist Control. So the net effect of this will be that
just remove it.
now both recipes will have, both tempering recipes will have 3 different options of what you can have there, and Rogue Innovation will actually have a little bit of a buff here too, because instead of having 4 things to roll for your tempers, we're only going to have 3. So it'll be a little bit easier to get what you want. Next, we're going to be talking about some generic class balance updates. So kind of to set you up, a high-level theme that we're going to see in our feedback from PTR was Barbarians are really, really good, and every other class is kind of a little bit weak, it feels like, compared to Barbarians. So we did a lot of things to address this. So first, I want to go into detail a little bit of how we feel about Barbarians and where they're at and what we want to do. We feel like one of the bigger reasons why Barbarians are so strong is that they kind of have 2 class mechanics compared to other classes, right? They have the expertise system, which is like a normal class mechanic where, they have this fantasy of leveling up their weapons and then they get bonuses. But then they also get more item slots compared to other classes, so they get more access to more legendary powers. As far as how we tackle this, we don't want our only solution to be to nerf Barbarians, right? Like, a common thing that we hear is like, hey, they have more item slots, maybe you should just get rid of the item slots so that everybody has parity, right? Like, that is a way to make parity, but, it takes away from their theme of being a master of weapons, and it's not very fun. So that's not the only thing that we want to do in this situation. The other thing is that we want to keep their class identity, right? Another common suggestion we hear is, well, just give all the other classes more item slots so that they're the same as Barbarian, right? And similarly, kind of like how Necromancers have minions, we don't want to give every class minions just because, they don't have access to the cool thing that Necromancers do. We don't want to just give every class, more slots so that they're exactly the same as Barbarian. We want to really try and keep what makes them feel special as a special thing, and find other ways to kind of bring parity to the classes. So here's kind of our strategy of what we're thinking of with Barbarians. We have a few different things that we're going to be doing. One is we're actually going to be adjusting how much damage all the classes get from their core stat. And this is going to bring other classes up to the level of Barbarian. I'm going to be going over that in a little bit. We are going to be reducing the power of Barbarians as part of our solution. But again, I want to point out it's not the only thing that we want to do. And then we also want to target the other class mechanics and really bring them up to the level of the Barbarian effectively having 2, and making the other classes feel cool in the way that makes them thematic and awesome. We already actually experimented with this in Season 4. This was an intentional thing that we did, and we wanted to see how it went with the Necromancer. If you remember, we buffed minions very heavily, and we also buffed the Book of the Dead, their class mechanic, very heavily. Not just numbers, but also in the cool factor, right? You have mechanics.
So what's happening is they give less damage per strength point, and Necromancer, for example, more damage per in point.
Kind of treatment to the other class mechanics.
Simple, but
just
effective.
To be clear, we're going to be probably doing this after the Vessel of Hatred expansion launches, so it'll be a little bit. So we are doing some things in the meantime to catch them up, but you can expect in the future we're going to be doing kind of a big overhaul to the other classes similarly to the Book of the Dead, and so their cool factor and their power level is going to be going up. So let's talk about that core stat update that I talked about previously. So basically what we're doing here is we're going to be changing the amount of damage that every class gets from their core stat. So if you didn't know, on live right now, when you log into the game, you get about 1% more damage per 10 stat of your class. So as an example, you know, I don't know, pick one, the Sorceress, you know, with Intelligence, you would have 10 int, and then you would get 1% more damage. If you had 100 int, you'd have 10% more damage, and so on. So now it's going to actually depend on the class what that ratio is of how much damage you get per your core stat. So the Barbarian is going to be staying exactly the same, 1% more damage per 10 strength. The Rogue is going to get a little bit of a buff here because they do have a little bit more slots compared to other classes. So they're going to be getting 1% more damage per 9 dex. And then the other 3 classes, the Sorceress, Druid, and Necromancer, are going to be getting 1% more damage per 8 core stat.
This doesn't sound like
so,
a lot.
You know, without doing a lot of math, the TLDR
it
here is Barbarians are staying the same. Rogues are going to get a bit of a bump, a bit of a buff, and the other 3 classes are going to get even more damage. So as you get that core stat, which you get very commonly, you know, in Gear and Paragon and other places, you're just going to be doing more damage. It's just a passive way that we're going to be catching up the classes.
1,000 in, 1,000 dex,
stat-wise.
1,000 strength.
So next, let's move on to kind of our class updates. So I'm going to be going through all the different classes and talking about kind of what our updates are going to be for them. Some of the things you can expect that are different from PTR to launch. So Barbarian, you know, currently Barbarians, in addition to having more item slots, have some of the best key passives in the game, like in Season 4 and on Live. One of the very main ways that we're targeting bringing them down is reducing the power level so that really their key passives are comparable to other classes. We on the team felt like, you know, they already have all these other things that are really strong going for them. They don't need like overly statted, way powerful key passives that do like, you know, over 100% multiplicative damage when the other classes are doing way less.
Thank you.
So you did see that on the PTR. We did see a lot of feedback on like, why are we bringing down Walking Arsenal to have parity when, you know, it wasn't even really meta compared to the other key passives. And I just kind of wanted to bring some light to this of how we think about it. The reason why we brought Walking Arsenal to be level with the other ones when we brought them to be equal to other classes is that, you know, we want all the key passes on Barbarian to have parity with each other. If we just brought down the other key passives that were way overperforming and didn't bring Walking Arsenal down to be even with them, then really Walking Arsenal is just going to be the best mandatory pick, and every Barbarian build is going to have to interact with this system. And we really wanted them to be equal with each other so that, you know, there's actually a choice when you get to your key passive of
Barb
which
is
one to
getting
take.
ruined.
So I just wanted to clarify that,
I mean,
you know, what our thinking was there.
Reasonably ruined.
But, you know, it's not all doom and gloom for Barbarians. You know, we did hear feedback of like, man, it really sucks. You know, I understand that they're being brought down and it's fair, but, you know, we want to have some things to look forward to. So we did introduce a number of buffs coming in between PTR and Live so that you have some things to look forward to and new build paths, or your, you know, underperforming builds are not being brought down as well. So I'm going to give a couple of examples here. One is Hammer of the Ancients. We increased its damage baseline by 10%. And we also adjusted the of Ancestral Force legendary. One of the troubling things that this build has problems with is like single target damage against bosses and things. You know, it does really good in AoE and brings down enemies, but its single target's a little bit lacking.
That's nice.
So we're upgrading this legendary power, so now it's going to be doing more damage against bosses. So it'll kind of help you with that single target issue. Another one is Upheaval. Upheaval builds can rejoice, and also a little bit of a preview of kind of how we're changing uniques, which I'll be going over a lot more later.
That's a lot. Like from 3 to 4 ranks,
damage by about 15%. And we also rounded out Hellhammer now. It's quite a bit more powerful. I can point out a bunch of things here of how it's better.
300
you can
strength
see it gives more skill ranks of Upheaval compared to before. The damage of its burning on the ground just baseline went up. It also has scaling on the burning damage. So, you know, before the burning damage wasn't really a meaningful part of the unique. One of the things you're going to see with uniques across the board is that they're going to be a lot more about the thematic of what the unique is, and that's where the power is going to be.
Damage
so here, the burning ground actually will scale
strength.
with your strength at a pretty significant degree. So, you know, it'll actually be doing meaningful damage, hopefully. You can also see its inherent affix now is damage to burning enemies. Instead of overpower damage, so it's going with that theme of Hellhammer burning the ground. It's also giving you skill ranks of Wall Up, a passive, so that's more multiplicative damage. You also get upheaval size, so now your burning ground and your upheaval is going to be bigger. So there's just all kinds of new things going on. It's going to be a lot cooler, a lot more powerful, and hopefully a lot more fun.
Yeah, Hellhammer looks absolutely insane.
Yeah, and 300 strength
like
also,
a
by the
very
way.
nice
300 strength, no big
360
deal.
strength, yeah, no big deal.
No big deal.
It's going to be pretty good. So next, the Sorceress. We got a whole lot of feedback that, the Sorceress isn't powerful enough compared to other classes.
We got so much. I'm going to stop us right here. We got so much feedback about the Sorceress.
Just a little bit. And the Druid.
And the Druid.
And the other
Well, the new
Necromancer.
legendaries are going to bring a lot of things back.
We
So
absolutely do.
new
Okay, now
uniques
you
are
may
meant
continue.
to
So,
be always build defining. Okay, like a complete build that is around that unique.
firstly, they've
And
got a
that's a
lot
good
of
idea.
large buffs to their uniques.
Because it's more
I would
fun.
say even more than other classes. Your uniques are going to feel really good, is the hope, and I think we've hit it. And I'll be going over some of them a little bit later. We also buffed all of their core and mastery skills by about 15 to 20%. So just baseline. Remember,
a
this
lot
is
for
in addition
Sword.
to the core stat buff. All of your core and mastery skills are also getting buffed baseline by a pretty significant degree. So you're just going to hit harder. We also did multiple defensive buffs. We heard a lot of feedback that they have trouble surviving in situations that the other classes could kind of get away with. These are some examples. We did more than this, but ice armor, your base shield amount is going up from 40% to 56% of your max life. Snow Veiled aspect, this one was updated from PTR to launch. So on PTR, it was that your ice armor gave you unstoppable and gave you armor. And on launch, you're still going to get unstoppable, but you're going to get damage reduction,
That's
which
actually pretty good.
anyone who knows how the defenses within this game work is way more significant than just getting armor.
Yeah, when you
So,
hit that
it's a
armor
big
cap, it's kind of like...
Yeah, you just want to gobble up
Yeah.
DR like Pac-Man as much as you can get.
Exactly.
The more, the better, and this
And
is going
now-
to give
yeah,
you
the
it.
DR
It's
is
actually
gonna be
huge
huge.
for
Yeah.
Source.
Also, we did multiple buffs to the Paragon board. Again, this is not covering everything, but one of the things is that we put a lot of caps to make sure that some Paragon nodes just didn't go out of control compared to everything else. But we heard feedback that those caps were a little bit too punishing, so we increased them. An example here is Burning Instinct,
They're
where
finally doing
on
something to
PTR it
Paragon,
capped at
which is
40%
good
more
because they have
multiplicative
been held
damage,
off
and we increased that
changing
up to
Paragon board.
80%. So now your burning damage, that's based on your crit strike multiplier, is going to be going up. Your total amount is going to go up, but then also the rate that you get it. It used to be 1% per 50 int, now it's 1% per 20 int. So you'll be getting more efficient bang for your buck for your int and a total cap that's much higher. So Druid, similar to Sorceress, surprise, surprise, got a lot of feedback that it's not powerful
Okay, what
enough
they're gonna
compared
do
to
to Druid,
the
that's gonna be
Barbarian or other
interesting.
classes. So we've got a lot of multiple quality of life and damage buffs coming in. Again, these are just some examples. Also, you got to remember the uniques are going to be coming in as well. Boulder damage went up. We increased the damage across the board of their core skills mostly, and we missed boulders, so we're increasing their damage a bit. We also got a lot of feedback that we came out with this really
Also,
cool
could you
unique for
thank you for the
Cataclysm that made
brand new
the lightning
subscription,
bolts
welcome
smart and
partner.
target enemies. And then a lot of people were like, "Hey, why does it have to
this is
get
not
a
all the
unique
buffs.
to make
We
my
have
skill be
patch notes
smart?"
at the end.
And we
Okay.
agreed, so we just made the skill smart baseline. So now those lightning bolts from the ultimate will just target enemies. Perfect Storm, the Storm key passive is getting its damage boosted from 30 to 40%. Seismic Shift, this was an aspect that we think is really cool, where your Earth Spike kind of goes in a line and does a bunch of Earth Spikes. Used to have a Kiss Curse mechanic, and it no longer does. So before it used to give you this big bonus of way more resource reduction gen and more damage on it, but it added a cooldown. And
There's a companion buff. Don't worry, Sig. There's patch notes coming. This is only a glance.
also similar to the Sorceress, we're buffing their the bonus cap on their legendary Paragon
Hopefully.
nodes. So an example here, they went from 40 to 60%. So you've got Thunderstruck, Earthen Devastation, and Survival Instincts. We've got a little visual there at the bottom node, but you can see that top end of the damage is now 60%, so it's going to be better than PTR. Also, we came out with that new unique I mentioned for Cataclysm. It used to be on the gloves on PTR, which a lot of people, which we agreed with, kind of felt bad that, you've got the two Storm-related uniques on the same slot. You can't take them together. It was competing with Unsun Aesthetics Wraps. This was the Lightning Storm unique. But now it's going to be on the range slot, so now you can take them both together,
Well
so they're not
done.
competing with each other anymore. Next is the Rogue. So to be frank, the Rogue we feel like it's in a pretty good spot, so we didn't do
That's
as
true.
many
Rogue
changes
is just
compared to other
incredible right now.
classes.
So
We
many
did still
choices,
do a
so
few
much
that
fun
I'll
to be
mention
had.
today, but they got the least changes. The first one is Flurry. So as you know, if you played the PTR, Flurry got some pretty dramatic updates, right? Both of their enhancement and both of their choices that you could pick on the base skill got changed and made a lot better. we saw that, you know, a lot of the output of Flurry was related to doing the mechanics that the enhancement and the advanced Flurry were requiring you to do, like casting it a bunch of times in a row and stuff like that. And we wanted to move some of that damage from those enhancements and things into the base skill. So the enhancement and the advanced Flurry are still going to be pretty potent, but we lowered their damage and instead just juiced the base skill even more. And what this is going to mean is really just that you're going to be more consistently doing that damage, and you're going to be less reliant on doing the stacking mechanics to get it.
That's how Rogue is just enjoying
next,
to play.
Wind Force. You know, this one has had a troubled history of just trying to find ways to make it really good and useful. Instead of knocking back enemies when it procs, it's going to knock them down now. So you no longer have to worry about like knocking enemies out of your CC, you know, or you want them to be grouped up next to you and then you're just knocking one of them or a few of them away. Yeah. Now they're just going to go in place. We have a before and after here. Again, a little preview of what we're doing with our uniques.
Knocks back target and now knock
but yeah,
down
Wind Force, you can see some of the things here as a preview. It's going to give you move speed baseline, which is pretty interesting as a stat on a bow.
Okay, and it
you've
makes
got chance for double projectiles for your barrage. You've got a couple passive upgrades there. And then, as you can see, the damage went up, but also now it knocks down enemies instead of knocks them back.
It's a great barrage bow now. Jeez.
Last but not least, the Necromancer. We've been hearing a lot of feedback that Blood Necromancer players are a little sad. They just aren't really catching up to the other versions of Necromancer. So we've buffed up a bunch of their tempering recipes and the damage on them. We're also buffing their legendary Paragon nodes. Here's some here that we did. Bloodbath. This one just makes your overpower damage go up.
From 5
it's being
to
doubled
10,
from 35% to 70%, so that's pretty meaty. Blood begets blood. That damage bonus when you're picking up blood orbs is being doubled, and the maximum amount is being doubled, so you're getting more per stack, and you need less stacks to get to your max damage.
But this is not enough.
Good there.
More.
And then last but not least here, Lucky Hit. We've heard a lot of feedback from Necromancer players that you know they kind of rely a lot on the Miasma Corpse Explosion to get their Lucky Hit procs off, and that their other skills don't really compete, and so they can't really have fun with Lucky Hit based builds, you know, more generally. So we just buffed Lucky Hit on a bunch of different skills, so you can see there what all the numbers are. Again, those will be on the patch notes, but really they're just going to be Lucky Hitting more often and getting cool procs more.
It sounds underwhelming.
Let's talk about uniques a little bit, right?
Hopefully
there's
yeah. So as we promised, you know, in the PTR stream, you know, we said that, you know, we have this kind of different philosophy when it comes to uniques, and we went into detail there. And we updated our uniques coming into Season 5, but we didn't update all of our existing uniques in the game yet. So we've done that pass now. We've updated nearly every unique in the game, and I'm going to do a little bit of a recap of kind of how we thought, and then giving you some examples of what we did. So these updates are fairly dramatic. We're going to be showing you 3 from each class, as well as 3 generic ones, to give you a really meaty idea of the different categories and ways that we thought of updating uniques, and kind of, you know, what you can expect for your builds.
Yeah, and I know, and Marcus is going to remind us about this at the end as well. But
you'll be hearing it a lot.
Yeah, but I will say we are showing 3 here and 3 for every class and 3 generic ones. But every single unique is actually in the patch notes. Yeah.
And I'll make a tier list for Necro and the other classes.
Will have easy access, and
you can easily compare the two and see what was the difference.
So after the stream, you'll be able to compare. And so we're just only covering a small amount here. We'll see everything.
Just a little sample serving. The patch notes are absolutely massive, so you'll have a lot to lots of snack on there.
Yeah.
So one of the things is your general power level of unique effects is up, and by unique effects, I want to be clear. That is like the thing at the bottom that is like your, you know, deals 40 to 60% more multiplicative damage or whatever. That number is going to be up on the higher end. So instead of 40 to 60, you know, it'll be 40 to 80 or 40 to 90 or 40 to whatever, right? So that power level is just going to be generally up almost across the board. And then really what we targeted for these updates is the stats on the uniques. So the stats are going to pretty much break every rule that we had in the game before when it comes to being a cool item. So some things that you're going to see, and I think I got an example of most of, if not all of these, but you're going to see uniques that have different inherents compared to other stats. So, you know, your boot inherent, you know, could be something that's not even related to boots or movement anymore. It could be something else. Or sometimes we add more inherent stats. So something that didn't exist before, you know, some items can have 2 inherents instead of just 1, which is a pretty big difference. We have a lot more that have stats that break normal slot rules. So, you know, things like movement speed on bows or cooldown reduction on weapons, stuff like that.
And they can have
uniques also can now have
like
tempering affixes, right? None of them really did this in Season 4, but now that tempering's in the game and uniques have to compete with these really great tempered items, uniques can have that too. They can also have much higher potential stat values compared to normal items. So, if a normal item has 20 to 40% more damage, a unique can be like, 1 to 300% more damage or whatever, right? And we even do this with the tempered affixes. So unique can have juiced up versions of tempered affixes that make them solve those problems much quicker.
I mean, the plan is to make uniques really be like, what the fuck when you find them.
Sometimes even a single stat on a unique can have the impact that a legendary power normally would on an item as far as what it does to a build. And we'll have a couple examples of that where like a stat on an item is actually giving you a new effect that didn't exist before that you could do.
Damn, that's awesome.
Yeah, so again, we're going to be going through 3 examples per class and 3 generics. And I'm going to just try and quickly go through and kind of point out some of the key things that are kind of neat about the items. So we're going to shotgun this a little bit, and yeah, you're going to see some cool items. So let's get to it. Woo. Yeah, so first, Penitent Greaves. This is a generic unique. You can see here, this one now has 2 inherents as opposed to 1. Another thing that you can notice is that normally, the evaded grants more move speed is only for 1 second, and this one is not only has 2 inherents, but it's for 2 seconds. So you'll evade and boost around at crazy sonic speed for a couple seconds, which is pretty neat. And now you can run through enemies while you do it.
You get critical strike
We've
against
also got
chilled
some
enemies,
neat
kinda
stats there,
nice.
like crit chance against chilled enemies and chill potency there that are new to the game. Here, Fists of Fate, this one a lot of people
Attack
saw
speed, crit chance,
a little bit early,
action,
and they were very
what's
happy about.
55% lucky
So one thing
chance?
I think that's kind of cool is that with our uniques, we're really trying to like double and triple down on the fantasy of the item. So if something's about cold or something here, like Fist of Fate is about like RNG to the max. So we're really going hard on like what the theme is. So here you can see like your attack speed can go from 0.1 to 8.7, and everything on it is like has a huge range of what you can roll. So like a greater affixed Fist of Fate could be like a best in slot item for a lot of builds.
The
I want
lucky
to try
hit
lucky
chance
hit
on
chance.
that.
Yes, this is the one that people point out that we
It's just crazy.
I talked with one of the people on our team. I want to shout out Alex on our team who
this could
did
be
a lot
so
of this
fun.
work, and we had a choice here, and we're like, are we gonna go crazy or go conservative? I was like, let's just go crazy. Like
But if
this
you
might
get
be
the high
insane.
lucky
It might
hit chance,
actually be
that
best
could
in
be
slot
really
and break stuff, but
interesting
it's really
for
cool.
many
So,
builds.
yeah, greater affix Fist of Fate there is going to be really cool.
Okay, Grandfather.
Next, the
death.
Grandfather,
150 all
mythic unique
stats.
example here. A lot of people had issues with
Plus
the ignored
300%
durability
damage,
loss.
cool.
Where you would like masterwork hit that or something, and then you're not getting anything. We just moved that into be a
and the intrinsic
a
status plus
baseline
150%
inherent
damage
affix now,
bonus.
so you don't have to worry about that, and then replaced it with something useful with a max resource.
And I will note, like, even in season
Plus
4, because
450%
that durability
damage,
loss
cool.
was kind of
Cool.
was actually a hidden stat item. Sometimes when you found a greater affixed version of a grandfather, it would actually apply to that. That is now.
Yeah, that's all gone. It's
Dunzo.
just inherents can't be gradered, which is something that we thought of a lot with this. So. Yeah, so now let's go into the classes. Barbarian, this is Battle
Frenzy
Trance. This one
Duelist.
exists already on live. Probably the 2 big things here. One is, you have 2 different passives now that you get. A lot of times we're adding skill ranks to passives because that's a way to add multiplicative damage or just buffs to really cool effects on a unique
That's
via their
pretty nice.
stats. The other thing to point out here is the actual effect. Before it was giving you increased attack speed to all of your other skills when you had frenzy
damage
stacks.
and attack
Now
speed.
you're going to be
It's
getting
actually nice.
damage and attack speed. We heard a lot of feedback from players that they would hit attack speed cap, and then this unique wasn't really doing very much for them. So now you're also just going to get damage in addition to making it easier to hit that cap for your other skills.
Not bad. Not
So it's
good,
just,
not bad.
More stats.
Ring of
stronger.
Ravenous, that one was
Next,
nice.
Reign of the Ravenous.
changed
A
what?
couple things here. One is it's giving you skill ranks of Rend, which is pretty significant. And remember, that 2 to 3 might not seem so significant, but when you greater affix that and then masterwork it,
Because it could
like
go
your
only
potential
apply every
of more
4
damage
seconds,
on
not
this
every
goes
1
up
second.
very
Fuck,
significantly.
Yeah, finally.
We're also giving you skill ranks to brawling skills still. Thing to point out
my
here
Rend
is your
Barbarian
Rend's
is gonna
duration.
go
This will also
crazy.
just increase the throughput damage of it, has been doubled.
And yes,
so that's
I've been
just more
playing
damage
Bard.
on Rend in addition to the skill ranks. And then also at the bottom, a small little detail, but before you could only apply that special effect of your brawling skills, applying your Rend's bleed every 4 seconds, and now it's every second. So now if you're able to spam brawling skills, you're just going to be applying Rend bleeds to enemies and stronger Rend bleeds like crazy. So it's a pretty big power boost.
Thank you.
Next, the Fields of Crimson. The thing I really want to call out here, there's a lot of things that are kind of
130% vulnerable
unique and
damage
different,
on the
but
weapon.
is that one kind of rule that we had with item stats that we're
this
now
is gonna be
changing and
great with
breaking
rupture
is
size.
we never really buffed things like enhancements or like the AB, like the different choice upgrades that you could do for a skill. This one actually buffs enhanced ruptures explosion size. So, normally when you rupture an enemy, it does that explosion. This will make that explosion be way
500%
bigger.
damage to bleeding
so
enemies.
Kind of a neat way that we can manipulate player power via stats. Next, let's move on to the Sorceress. So the Staff of Endless Rage. We actually have a combo here that we're going to show a little video of, a before and after with this. Fireball builds. The Staff now does some, and the gloves would be doing some unique things to fireballs. One is butt plus fireball projectile speed. So this is actually going to make your fireballs fly through the air faster or bounce quicker. And so you'll be able to get through them and they'll finish their path faster. You've got the tempering recipe now, so it doesn't compete with your chance to cast twice.
Don't forget,
and you can see there, it goes up to
75%
so just on that one stat. So it basically almost solves it for you by itself, which is pretty huge. You've got some massive skill ranks to fireball, so now, again, way more multiplicative damage than before. And then, you can see at the bottom that the upper end of that damage is going up for the same as most of our uniques.
Yeah,
and next is combos with the Gloves of the Illuminator. A couple things to kind of gloat on here is the fireball attack speed is going up by a much bigger amount than other classes, or than normal attack speed, on other slots. Also, you get mana when Fireball explodes. I played with this build, and I think it was Season 1, and I constantly ran into mana issues because you always want to spam this as much as you can. So when you think of this stat, you can greater this, you can temp or masterwork this.
And you kind of combine this with the attack speed here,
now
and you combine it with the projectile speed.
Yeah, and you get a lot more fireballs. Remember, it's every time that it explodes, which when it bounces, it's exploding.
Yeah.
And when you're splitting and getting more from multiple projectiles, you're getting more bounce explosions. So it's giving you a resource engine.
Yeah, you're essentially a fireball machine gun.
Yeah. So we've got a little bit of a Season 4 to Season 5 comparison here of what it looks like. A little video. So in Season 4, you can see, every third cast gives you 3. But Season 5, you're going to randomly get three, and then sometimes even more when it combines with the double projectile bonus. So you can actually really fill up your screen with fireballs everywhere. And every one of those bounces is giving you mana back.
What could possibly go wrong when you fill up your screen with fireballs?
That's ludicrous.
So it's pretty cool.
You don't see shit anymore.
It's its own little engine. Next, we've got Blue Rose. Probably the cool thing to point out here is there's a chance for ice spikes to explode twice. So this is also something that we haven't really done, where we have these, we call them sub-powers internally, but these things like Dust Devils or Ice Spikes that are like powers that generate when you cast a skill that are usually through legendaries or uniques.
Okay.
We generally don't manipulate them too heavily like this, but we're going to be experimenting more with that in unique stat affixes. So here, your Ice Spikes can actually like double proc, so they get double explosions, and then any other things that would proc off that would be doubled, which is pretty neat. Next, let's move on to the Druid. So Waxing Gibbous, this is the Shred Druid unique. So what we did here that I want to point out, in addition to the fact that you're getting a bunch of skill ranks to Shred and Toxic Claws, which is a bunch more multiplicative damage, so power level is going up significantly. Bloodhowl grants stealth for a few seconds. So what's really cool about this is, we basically added a new mechanic via a simple item stat in this unique, and it combines with the unique effect, right?
That's
so before on live, you kill enemies with Shred, you
right?
go into stealth, and then you come out and you guaranteed crit. So as you're killing enemies over and over, you're just critting constantly as you go in and out of stealth. But you couldn't really do that against bosses, and you had no other ways to get into stealth. But now we've created an alternative way where if you cast Bloodhowl or get the Bloodhowl effect in other ways, you'll go into stealth and get this proc.
That's going to be a super interesting druid,
against single bosses or situations you couldn't before.
Reset cooldown,
so we've given you a
Bloodhowl,
potential way to create your own engine,
otherwise.
which is pretty neat to get
kind of nice.
crits.
I like that. Interesting thought.
Next, Great Staff of the Crone. I believe we showed this one earlier to people, but just wanted to point out, what was special about this. Storm Strike, chaining to additional targets, things like this. Again, it's a single stat that does something that kind of really changes how the unique works, right?
I don't like the damage
you're going to get all the different procs and different effects by chaining to more enemies more often. You can also see here that the upper end of that damage that you could get is going up from 150% to 200, so it's just better. And last but not least, we got Storm's Companion. This one I again wanted to highlight another new thing that we're doing, and I want to call it here is the lucky hit chance for the Pack Leader Spirit boon. So normally we never really manipulate class mechanics. But here, you know, this pack leader, this isn't like a passive or a thing in the skill tree. This is in the spirit boon, your class mechanic, and this increases that lucky hit chance to get a reset on the cooldowns of all your companion skills. So again,
And
this
that
is
one
something that you know,
masterworked
normally
12
we don't
times,
get to
chat.
manipulate,
Okay,
and now
don't
you'll
forget
be
you
able
can
to
masterwork
do,
this.
and I think it'll be pretty cool.
We have also decided that pack leader is 2 words instead of 1.
So you can
Yeah,
get that
I-
lucky hit chance
Everything's
so
getting
big
Yeah,
that you always
everything.
reset the
Everything's
cooldown. on
Everything's
anything.
changing.
All right, moving on to the Rogue, Eagle Horn. Let me see,
Penetrating
what did I
shots, no
want to...
attack
I think
speed
just
and
pointing
vulnerable
out here,
damage is
this was
insane.
about moving the
Chance for penetrating
tempered
shot to cast
recipe.
twice,
The penetrating
really
shot
good.
projectiles can cast twice. Again, another example of that. We're also giving you a bunch of skill ranks to penetrating shot.
And malice
Again, this
skill
is a way
ranks,
that we're
that's
adding just like
crazy. The damage
raw
multipliers are gonna be
power and
flying,
damage
chat.
in ways that aren't in the unique effect. So these stats on these things can be very strong out the gate, and then again, tempering and masterworking just makes these go really, really high. Next, Word of a Con. This one was a really silly, fun one that we liked. You see there, the one I want to point out. Well, one is the ultimate damage. Actually, ultimate skill damage for the Rogue
Rain
is
of Arrows
kind of a
imbued with
premium because
all
they have that
imbuement and receive
Paragon
your
node
arrow
that
storm
makes
benefits.
it turn into multiplicative damage for all your skills. So that's actually pretty meaty. It's also way higher value than normal.
41% Rain of
Also,
Arrow
the
cooldown
chance for
reduction.
Rain of Arrows waves to cast twice.
And then you can master
So
work
normally we don't do, you know, chance to double cast on ultimates, but again, uniques get to break the rules. So now you've got, you know, juiced up Rain of Arrows cooldown reduction. They can cast
So
twice,
Rain of Arrows
and they
will
hit
always
way
cast
harder
twice.
on the Rain of Arrows
get
themed
50%
uniques. So
cooldown
again,
reduction.
really trying to bring out the theme and the fantasy of these uniques in the stats, in the effects, to really create something special.
I love that.
And
item.
next, Saboteur Signet. I was running this in Season 4. I'm a little sad that I'm going to be doing something else in Season 5, but I loved my stun grenade build. But here you can see a bunch of grenade damage, obvious theme for the grenade build. We're also giving you a lot of your stun
It's like
grenade
4 times
size
the grenade
here.
damage
And then
currently.
again, a new affix that kind of creates your own engine. You're getting +1 energy when a stun grenade explodes. And this is each individual grenade, right? So you usually release a cluster of these things. So now, again, I spent a lot of my time in Season 4 trying to solve resource and get ways to cast this a lot to throw out those stun grenades, and now this kind of helps
this
its own
is
engine.
definitely the season of ridiculous.
Also, one thing to point out
before
here is
season
that
6.
it's no longer just a flurry unique. It's casting a core skill throws stun grenades,
like
so it's
it.
a lot more generically applicable. You can use this with, you know, all the different core skills, not just flurry. Next, Necromancer.
Okay,
The
surprise
big
me.
one I wanted to point out here. We're going to be showing both of the Blood Surge uniques and how they've been updated and they combo with each other. We have a stat here that Blood Surge drains more times from elites.
Drains-
So
okay.
to be clear, this is the drain, not the explosion. But the drain does feed into the explosion damage, and there's a lot
yeah.
of like synergy and things based on draining enemies. So now, you know, one of the problems that Blood Surge has always had is, you know, when you're fighting a single target or a boss, you know, you only drain one enemy, and then you're not
The
getting
elites should
your
count
like,
for bosses
explosion
too.
damage up. But now
Okay.
you're going to be draining multiple times from those elites, so you're going to get, you know, more life back and other procs when you drain, but also your explosion will be more significant now against them. Next, Death Speaker's Pendant. This is the other Blood Surge unique.
1 essence per enemy
We also
drained
added
by
another
Blood
thing
Surge.
that combines with the other unique,
what?
where you're getting essence per enemy drained, right?
Huh.
So now, as you drain enemies for the explosion, you're going to be getting more essence back to cast the skill and spam it more. We're also giving you a bunch of ranks
Okay,
to
I'm
Blood
taking this
Surge,
back.
which, you know, just makes
Minion
sense.
Necro
So,
might be
you know,
a thing.
50%
Blood Minion
you know,
Necro.
before Masterworking and Tempering multiplicative damage is already a giant buff to this. But then also you can see that, you know, the numbers also went up on this as well. So it's just going to be
I mean,
pretty
alone that
significant.
Cool Assessed Blood is getting ranked is going to be huge.
Can't wait.
And last but not
This one.
least, Greaves of the Empty Tomb. This is your Sever unique. Lots of stuff to point out here. One is you have multiple inherents. So, you know, normally you can only get 3 max evade
Maximum
charges.
evade
You get
charges,
more
evade
here.
sleeve
We
behind
also had a
Desecrated
fun
Ground,
little
that's
thing
huge,
where
but
your
not
evade
good.
now leaves
Just
behind
huge,
Desecrated
because
Ground
the
because this is
Desecrated
the
Ground is behind
Desecrated
you,
Ground unique.
which makes
We
useless.
also have chance for Sever projectiles to cast twice. We have Sever Size here. We also give you ranks to Reaper's Pursuit. So this is really about just like moving and grooving, like
I mean,
going
Sever's
around.
going to be interesting.
One
because
thing
you
I want to
can
point out
make
here as
the
well
double cast
is this new
100% plus
aspect
plus.
of Creeping Mist that came in, and you can combine this with the Greaves of the Empty Tomb. So this new aspect, you know, we heard that Necro players want mobility, and boy did we give you mobility. So what this does is when you evade during, first of all, you get evade cooldown reduction, so you evade more. But when you evade during Blood Mist, you travel twice as far, and both when you enter and exit Blood Mist, it resets your evade cooldown. And one of the things that makes this crazy, where we might actually be crazy, and I hope we don't have to revisit this, but we're going to see, is that reset of your evade cooldown counts for all of your charges of evade. So what this means is, and we have a video, is that you can evade 5 times, then evade in Blood Mist, and then evade 5 more times. So see here, then you're evading in Blood Mist, and you're leaving behind that desecrated ground everywhere, and just
skating
pooping
around, you know?
But it should,
Yep.
it should
Like a
not be
nice
enough
skating
damage
game.
for
So
later
every
on
time
to
you
be
cast
relevant.
Blood Mist, you're going to be getting 10 evades. It's
This
silly
is
and
like a
hilarious.
cute thought, but not a useful thought, you know?
But we're putting it in the game, and I hope we don't regret it.
Always. Necros are going to be zooming.
Yeah, they're going to be zooming with this. So,
Wow.
yeah, so that's kind of our preview of our
Yeah,
uniques
but-
and kind of what's coming into the game. Again, we're pretty excited about it. I think it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Professor Adam Jackson, take a bow. That is that is incredible.
And again,
It's
that's
like-
not even everything. There's a lot of
it's
stuff.
interesting,
unique
but
stuff
it's
at
not
that
like
level,
Patch
so.
notes after the stream,
Useful.
we will be showing comparison of every single unique and their changes from season 4 to season 5. So you can
we're
go in
waiting
there
for
and
the
check out
patch
all those
notes.
changes. But
Yeah.
that was a great overview of all those changes. That is really, really exciting. This brings us to our Q&A portion of the show. Let's all shift our legs at the same time.
Yeah.
So we've been following along in Twitch chat, and we've picked out a bunch of questions, and we're going to kick it off, tossing it over to Mr. Dan Tangway. How do reward choices work in multiplayer parties for Infernal Hordes? Does the leader choose the reward for everyone, or can each player choose?
All right, so yeah, let's talk about this. In the Infernal Hordes, when you're collecting Burning Ether, each individual collects their own Burning Ether.
Makes sense.
And we did this for the very reason that you're asking questions about. We wanted players to be able to go in and choose the rewards that they want to
Daniel,
choose.
we have
not
to see all the
necessarily
uniques to really
what
say
somebody
how
else
much fun it's
gets
going to be,
first,
but I
or what the
think it's
party
going to be
leader
fun.
wants. So every individual party member will have their own choice of rewards.
Awesome. Thanks for letting us
I'm
know.
just going to be busy making
Marcus, you got
videos the next
everything.
days.
Oh
like
my
crazy.
goodness!
Oh my
Did I not say
gosh.
Eldrick?
Oh my
Very
gosh.
Eldrick, I won't forget you. Thank you,
Need
Adam.
names.
Eldrick, thank you for that question. On the
Of course, you're going to be a stickler for that. You
Yeah,
have
no,
to
it's a
suffer.
great-
Everyone must
It's a
suffer.
great thing to call out
Please,
because
all
our
The ladder
all
behind
fun
you.
at the same time.
because our next question is from Dartless.
Or actually, I think we have a question here on the lower third, which is this one. We've gotten a lot of these questions, so I do want to actually address this one. This is when are we going to hear more about Vessel of Hatred? Because you know we just had the Spiritborn reveal. We showed off the Spiritborn. I will note that we also are going to be at Gamescom. There's actually some Gamescom news that came out this morning. The Spiritborn will be playable at Gamescom. So if you go to the Xbox booth,
And
you'll
I'll
be
be
able
at
to play it
Gamescom,
there.
guys.
So if
I'll
you're-
try the Spiritborn
you're
at
attending that
Gamescom.
show, it'd be really awesome. There's actually going to be more news coming out at that time. So of course, tune in. And I will say, like, you guys have only heard a very small
No, there's
Yes.
a lot. Yeah,
like,
it's gonna be a lot.
fraction
The
of
tip
what's
of the
coming
jungle.
of Vessel of Hatred. So we're really excited for Gamescom. So you guys will hear more then, so stay tuned.
Yeah, grab your tickets to come to Gamescom because we'll be there. I'll be super
Yes,
exciting.
exactly. Go to Germany.
Go to Germany. Come to Cologne.
Cologne.
Come to Cologne. There was some people confused in chat. This is a question from Dartless, who was saying, we can temper uniques now. Did I mishear that? Maybe that was a mistake being said. So Adam, if you want to
Yeah,
speak
100%
to
clear.
that.
Cannot temper uniques. We want them to be different in that they do not engage with
Certain
that
ones
system,
is
at least
PvE
for now.
14, EU.
But no, you're going to be what I wanted to say or be clarify on is that you can get tempering affixes on uniques. Like they'll just drop with
past
those
ones.
affixes or whatever. But you can't like go to the blacksmith and manipulate them in that way. You can't temper them.
Gotcha. Cool. Thanks for clarifying that.
Truly unique.
Adam.
Yeah.
It's Doffy has a question for Dan Tangway. Are there any plans to continue iterating on the Infernal Hordes in the future since it's a permanent addition? Are there going to be more boons and banes coming?
That's a very good
Yeah,
question.
that's a great question. And yeah, just to reiterate what you had pointed out there, this is an Eternal Realm feature that's going to appear in the game forevermore. And so this is just the first version of it. I mean, you think back to what Helltide was in the base game and how we've iterated on that over time to get it to where it is. We're going to continue investing similar levels of effort into the Infernal Hordes too. And so boons and banes is something we heard a lot about feedback during the PTR. And so we absolutely want to make more improvements to the boons and banes. And so stay
That's
tuned.
needed.
That's not going to hit in season 5, but we'll figure out where we can get it in future seasons.
Awesome. Great to hear that we're going to continue tinkering on that feature in the seasons to come. I've got a really interesting question from Mano_imp. with regards to
Mana
those Mana Imp.
We know Mana Imp.
With regards to the damage increase per class resource.
Sure.
They're asking, is the Spiritborn getting 1% damage at 7 points if it's their main stat, just because they have a lower amount of weapons?
Yeah, TBD.
TBD.
I don't want to go into math on Spiritborn yet, but
Not like the Spiritborn is
they'll
overpowered
be getting
anyways in
similar
every single
treatment to
lane.
all the other stuff. All of this is kind of evergreen, so.
Awesome. Awesome. Luke Wee. When will we see the overhaul of the Paragon system? Would you consider removing the Paragon limit?
There are going to be changes to Paragon, but we aren't talking about those changes yet.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
TBD.
Thank you.
TBD.
TBD. Stay tuned. Love this name. Chicken Wing 929.
Love it.
Can the reputation rewards for Season of the Infernal Hordes be earned on only one character or all your seasonal characters?
The Paragon will change the Paragon.
I believe it's
yes, Vessel of Hatred will change it
all characters,
100%.
similar to like what we had for season 4. So you can actually go back in and just play like, hey, go through the reputation board and then
Get as
get
many
another
resplendent
spark
sparks as possible.
You
That's
want
really
to.
the question, let's be honest.
Really, that's truly the question. We get
that's
it.
right.
Yes, you can get.
Pretty sure it's
additional-
character specific, and so you can,
Yeah.
Nice. Systematic 5K, Adam Jackson. Will our existing uniques be updated with these new unique changes?
Yeah, we get this every round that we update them. It's the same rules as always, which is the unique power. When we update that, is your existing uniques will get that, right? So when we increase your damage range or whatever, that's going to get. But the stats, those are going to be legacy on any items that exist. So you're going to have to refarm your unique to get the new stats that are on them. And
Which
now
is
that's
fair,
kind of the
because
way that
else
they're
it
going to
would
work
be
going
crazy.
forward, unless we say otherwise.
Yeah, it's just how things work under the hood for when we do changes on them. So.
Yeah.
Nice. Pudge underscore BP. Are there any plans for clan rework / improvements?
I know there are some changes coming for some social features. We're just not ready to talk about them now. But you guys will hear about them.
Group finder.
Awesome.
Something.
This one's kind of a design philosophy question for Adam Jackson.
Sure.
Evans423 wants to know, how future-proof is this system of static uniques when adding new / better tempering effects and new content?
How future-proof are static uniques when adding new tempers? Let me think. Semi, right? Because like I think it is something where if we add like new tempers or new affixes or whatever, we will probably need to go back and update uniques that we wanted to apply to and make it work again. Our hope is that these uniques are going to be pretty like future-proof in that they're going to be very meaty in the amount of power that they give you. They're also extremely thematic, but I think we do reserve the right. Like if we find a new idea for existing passive or existing tempering that is introduced to the game and we want to put it on, we can do that. I will say also one thing that we want to do more is like just come up with really crazy new ones that aren't even really tempering recipes, but just like crazy effects, right? Like Blood Howl grants stealth, or you drain more with your Blood Search, stuff like that. So I would expect we'll probably be updating them as we go forward. Not probably as dramatically as this all at once, but I foresee that's probably likely, yeah.
Nice, yeah. Always tinkering, always updating.
Yeah. Speaking of which, about tempering, one thing that we forgot to mention, and I know we mentioned it at the PTR stream last time. I'm sorry, my earpiece just keeps falling off. So it looks like I'm like scratching my ear, but I'm not. The greater I know there was a lot of like feedback after season 4 regarding tempering and potentially bricking items. And one update that we talked about during the PTR stream, and I want to mention, it wasn't in PTR, but is in season 5 specifically, is greater affixes will actually get additional temper rerolls on them based on the greater affix quality of what they are. So for like greater affix 1-star ones, you'll end up getting 1 additional temper reroll, and then it grows by how many stars that there are. So that is going in season 5. So we mentioned it last
As
time.
we wanted, right? Greater affix items should have more rerolls.
So.
Yeah, great to mention that, Adam. That's awesome. We've got a easy one here from Z Weapons. What is a mythic unique? There was a purple item during the stream?
Yeah, you can tune into our last stream for it. But yeah, basically what was Uber uniques is what people call them. It's basically like, you know, the really best items in the game that have like perfect stats and everything. We rebranded them to Mythic Uniques. They now have their own special color, special beam when they drop. They just got a whole treatment to really make them feel like the penultimate items that they
Super
are in the
juicy.
game. Yeah,
that's awesome. Sophie0257, are they going to make it so that we can pre-download the update, or will it be available only on the 6th? That's a great question.
That's a good
Based off feedback from Season 4's launch, the patch will be available to download roughly an hour before Season of the Infernal Hordes launches. So that season goes live at 10 a.m. and roughly an hour before you'll be able to pre-download the patch to get into the game and get ready for the
cool.
season.
Yeah, I know a lot of people are probably going like, why not multiple days and things like that. We're getting there. We're trying. But no, we got a lot of feedback about, you know, how things started immediately on the, like, you could download and actually start the season. And of course, we want to make sure that people can be as prepared as possible. So 1 hour before the actual season starts, like, you should be able to actually download and get that all prepared. So like as soon as the season, the time for the season begin, which is roughly like 10 a.m. Pacific on the day of, you can just jump in without needing to download. So
Skull MTV, hey, great job, thanks. Any plans to rework masterworking in brackets higher cost, but you know you can choose upgrades and tempering to make these systems have less RNG?
Nothing to announce at this time. We definitely have heard the feedback. We are starting with the first step of, like, you know, one of the things that we know feels really bad for players. Like, I got how do I say? The more greater affixes you have on an item, the higher stress and investment you have to like make it work the way that you want. So we are relaxing that, make it a little bit easier. Another thing that we're thinking about that's a little lighter is like the tempering recipes, making them have like 3 on average instead of 4 or more. Something that we're talking about moving towards, but nothing like of overhauling the system and doing a major change at this time that we have to announce.
Cool. Thanks, Adam. Dan Tangway from Holy Smokes. Their name isn't for Holy Smokes. Their name is.
I thought it was Dan Tangway asking a question, and I was like, wait, what?
No. Their name is Frodo Bolson, but all the O's are zeros.
All right.
How does the Infernal Hordes work in groups? Do you need only one compass per group?
So the Infernal Hordes, you only need 1 compass per group in order to be able to get in.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
That saves a lot of resources.
Just like Nightmare Dungeon sigils. Awesome. Yep. All right, Ravask. Any news on reworked Nightmare Dungeons?
I want
Nothing
for today.
Yeah.
Nothing to announce today.
Yeah, nothing to announce today.
Sweet. Green Zombie Studios. Can we expect cool new transmogs in Season 5 from salvaging items?
I am not sure. I know, like, the Season 5 has a lot of new legendary aspects and uniques. Like, there's like 50 new legendary aspects and uniques being added into Season 5. So there's a lot of like more the back end type of stuff that affects a lot more so on the gameplay.
If they're new uniques, they should have new transmog technically.
So we can actually. There are a couple of new uniques in Hell that you can earn that will have all new looks to them that you can salvage and use as a cosmetic. Yep.
Bam. There you go.
Dan, the savior from Albany.
There you go. Frodo Bolson. Hot pancakes. Are there still plans for rare and magic items? I guess in terms of like a rework or changing their functionality in any way.
Yeah, I'd say nothing to announce today for that. Yeah.
Cool.
I think they should have vetted the question before. Because
all right. Checking through Mac and D's. Can we expect skill trees or support gems to change the way skills work?
Can we expect skill trees or support gems to change the way the skill works? I mean, we're not doing any skill tree overhaul right now in Season 5. I do think we have talked a bit on the team about having a desire of the upgrades for skills being like more impactful and really impactful. Nothing to announce today, but it is something that is on our radar and I think is cool. I think one example that we talk about a lot on the team is like the kick upgrade for the Barbarian, where
100%.
normally, you know, when we were originally designing kick, it was this idea that you have this like skill where you hit an enemy and you care about the geometry of the place around you and you want to hit them into the wall and then they get knocked down, take a bunch of damage and all this stuff. That part hasn't really played out, I think, as well because the pace of our game is so fast. But one of the upgrades for kick, especially I remember in the early beta, like way before, maybe it was alpha even, Kick, it converts Kick from this cooldown-based geometry skill into just a powerhouse where it just spends all your resource and does a buttload of damage to an enemy. And it was like one-shotting world bosses and stuff back then. Like it was hilarious.
I think I remember that.
But the skill still has that upgrade. But I reference that upgrade a lot because I think it's really cool when you can convert a skill to like used to be cooldown and now isn't, or used to be about this utility and now it's just damage, or vice versa, where it like really changes what a skill does. We think it's really cool. It definitely would be a lot of work to like do that to every skill, but I think it's something that's worth talking about and pursuing. So it is on our radar of something to do, but nothing to announce today for it.
Awesome. Yeah. That's really cool. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
And that brings us to the end of our Q&A. So I want to give a huge thank you to Adam and Dan for answering all those questions.
Adam squared.
Adam squared, back in
And
action.
Dan.
Hey, just like the PTR stream. You guys are back.
There you go.
Screw those Joes. Got them.
Yeah. Eliminate. No, I'm just kidding.
And that brings us to the end of our Season the Infernal Hordes developer update stream. Just a few notes before we close out the stream. Just want to take a moment to thank everyone for tuning into our Spiritborn showcase a few weeks back.
Yeah.
It was really cool to show off that new class. It was such a huge moment for the team. So really want to thank you all for coming to check that out. And if you want to play the Spiritborn in person, as Adam mentioned earlier, we are going to be at Gamescom. So get your tickets, come to Gamescom in Cologne, Germany, and...
Oh, that was sound gone on them. That's not for me, though. I think my sound should still be
awesome.
Yeah, my
it just went up through the roof. Yeah. But speaking of the Spiritborn, you can pre-purchase Vessel of Hatred today and instantly...
Can they hear audio?
Oh, can everybody hear us? Twitch chat? Where did the sound go?
Okay, we're good now. We're good now.
Okay,
we're good.
Awesome. All right, thank you, chat, for keeping us up to date. Speaking of the Spiritborn, you can pre-purchase Vessel of Hatred today to get instant access to some items in game before the expansion goes live this October. For Season of the Infernal Hordes, this season goes live on August 6th at 10 a.m. The patch will be available for pre-download roughly an hour before, and 10 a.m. is in Pacific time, for anyone wondering. Patch will be available for pre-download about an hour before the season goes live, so you can get in and get ready for the season to start.
The season should be pretty fun.
I'm not sure how long. Patch notes are going to go live
but unless
after the stream,
until I found every
5.
unique
So for anything we talked about across the stream today, that'll be available.
For every unique.
And all the uniques and everything.
Yeah, check out those gifts. They're pretty spiffy. Team worked pretty hard on those. We also had the Season of the Infernal Hordes deep dive blog go live earlier this week, so a ton of information there as well. Stick around after the stream because we're going to be rating some Diablo content creators, so go and check them out. For Adam and Mr. Dan Tangway and Albany, thank you guys so much for joining us for this developer update stream today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
Really awesome to go through all the changes. And from all of us here, thank you so much to everyone at home for watching and checking out the stream. And we will see you all in Sanctuary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Uniques.
Woo!
Good. So now I would like to have those patch notes posted. Like, I am not impatient at all, but this stream is over, so give it to me. We're now waiting. I mean, like, I think the season is going to be good. Like, there's a lot to offer, right? The game wholesale is actually improving. Leveling will be faster than ever. There's, again, Resplendent Spark to be farmed with Reputation, and you can overall farm that. So you can with the Reputation system, just over and over and over again farm a Resplendent Spark. So they hosted Elena. Good. Now we're just waiting for this to essentially update. So just being on their Twitter, spamming the refresh button, waiting for the patch notes, because I want to see all the uniques, right? Diablo 4 news. That's the 5th. That's not what I'm looking for. Where do we store all the new items? I mean, we have enough place. Come on now. You can't be saying we don't have enough space. Like, you don't need to, you're not getting any yellows anymore. You're only getting these greater affixes. I think the space should be enough. Also, we lost a lot of materials. So a lot of boss materials are now, like, for example, Varshan is not 5 boss materials anymore. It's like only 1 boss material. So you already have more space in your inventory by nature. Okay. So let's get the update. Give us the patch, the actual patch. Come on, Diablo. What did you do the special refresh again, guys? Was it with control shift F5? Yeah, it was control F5, right? If you play 3 to 4 classes, the space not enough. I actually played all the classes last season, and I still managed to have the space be enough. But you know how it is. Like, we're all hoarders by heart, so we do like to keep more stuff than we should keep. I mean, my inventory will definitely be overflowing, as always, right? But I want to see the patch notes right now. Oh my god, I'm gonna have so many windows open again. Yeah, like, let's make this a bit quieter before you all go deaf. I'm happy to be back with D4 videos. I mean, I make D4 videos if there's D4 things to video. You know what I mean? I mean, there hasn't just been anything. Like, I know D4 creators have been making videos, but they have been literally making videos about there's nothing to make videos about, right? There was nothing to really cover, and they had to like pull videos out of their butthole, right? And yeah, I like, you know, I prefer making then content about other games and make D4 videos when there is something to talk about. Correct? Because if they're like, I hate trying to somehow flash out content just to have something. Do you like all the changes? I think the changes are good, and we're getting quite some stuff. I mean, like, if we're looking at the like what Helltide is going to be better than ever. We can get 925 gear earlier. We get more XP for monsters 30 level above. The Enchanting is not going to cost our Angel Breath anymore, so that's going to be very good. There's better drop chances. The Infernal Hordes are finally fun. There's Hellbreach dungeons, which are going to be fun dungeons while leveling. So I'm probably not going to do many Hellbreach dungeons while leveling, but they still exist. You get more rewards from Infernal Hordes, so they're actually valuing your time, and the harder Infernal Hordes you do, the more rewards you get, so that's really worth it. We have a new reputation system that will grant you more XP over time, that has more fun seasonal quests, and that will give us a Resplendent Spark at the end, and class-based uniques, which is really good. Right? Also, Rocket, this is currently not once human. You know, this is Diablo time. Once human is tomorrow again. But right now it's Diablo time, so please accept that. Thank you. We got the pit changes. The world bosses are normal now. The endgame bosses, like, we got the pit changes in general, that pit bosses are doing less damage now. So that's going to be interesting. And one-shots are removed. Right? And our Necromancer does more damage than ever. So if you had 1,000 intelligence, you were getting, for every 10 points of int, you were getting 1% more damage, right? But now we're getting for every 8 points of int, 1% more damage. That means with 800 int, we're already getting the same damage that we used to get with 1,000 int. So we're getting a 200 int worth more of damage. Right? Oh, but there's going to be tons of builds coming. Don't you worry. There's tons of build. I saw they removed int from weapons. No, int is still on weapons, Pyrrha. I mean, there was just a weapon that gave 300 strength, for example, and a mage weapon that gave 300 int. So there is going to be tons of ints on the weapons, too. The patch notes are out. So let's see. What do we got? So we're going to ignore everything. We're going to straight up scroll down to the uniques because I want look at them, right? We're going to look at the other stuff too, because I really want to know. It's a lot of the things amended and back changed. So I hope that our Necro is going to be better than ever, but I want the... They don't have, they have pictures here. So Mythic Uniques. The Ring of Starless Skies. Wait, I was already there. Jesus, I should not zoom. So Ring of Starless Skies is now spending your primary resource. The resource cost was skilled, so that's the same. But you get now attack speed, critical strike chance, lucky hit chance, and +2 to core skills. Wow. A Ring of Starless Skies, great. Doombringer is finally useful, maybe. Stats, life, damage for 35% more life. Okay, cool. Chance to heal and up to a 25% chance to deal shadow damage to surrounding enemies and reduce the damage dealt by 20% for 5 seconds. And I like the heal. I like the, 35% more life and 10% damage reduction is huge. Plus 100% more damage. Havarian is movement speed now. Havarian's movement speed now. That's funny. Grandfather we had with ultra damage. Melted Heart of Selig does do more resistance to all elements, so that's a huge buff generally. Lucky hit chance instead. Movement speed, damage reduction while healthy, and resource generation. That lucky hit chance boost is interesting. The effect is the same. Tyrael's Might has durability loss. Okay, ignores durability loss now too. Movement speed, resistance, 60% resistance to all elements. 20% damage reduction and even more barrage damage. Okay, so the 20% damage reduction is huge, right? And that's not even masterworked. And Dariel's Visage is stats, life on hit. Instead of life steal, it's life on hit. I get it. 666% poison resistance. 30% attack speed. Wow. 30% attack speed is insane. Harlequin Crest we had. So let's see Necro first. Okay. Lidless Wall is huge amount of armor. Bone Storm duration. Insane. Cooldown reduction and +2 to bone skills. Actually really good. And they bumped up the lucky hit chance. So Lidless Wall might finally be worth it again. And it's 12.6% total armor plus. Huh. That's intriguing. This is going to max armor you out. Death Speaker's Pendant we had. Essence per drained enemy. With the Blood Surge now dealing good damage. And you're hitting Blood Surge and Cold Assist Blood for more rings. Even Piercer was chance for Blight projectiles to cast twice, so that's huge. Blight and Reaper's Pursuit. I hate that they're pushing Reaper's Pursuit. That shouldn't be necessarily being pushed all the time with everything. Gloom 2 ranks is insane, and it shoots 4 smaller projectiles doing good damage. Okay, so that's really nice. Then Mutilator Plate. Okay, let's see. Mutilator Plate is now giving you max life. That's huge. Bloodlands duration, double huge, because that's more damage to Bloodlands. So Bloodlands was already good. Then damage reduction from enemies affected by blood skills. Great. 4 ranks to Bloodlands. And then Bloodlands fortifies you even more and does up to 40% damage. Oh my goodness. Blood Necro is back, Chan. Seriously, like Blood Necro is gonna be huge. We already had a good Bloodlands Necro, but this one is nasty. Can't wait to actually make a video on all of this. So this is going to be very interesting. Blood Necro S tier, not S tier, but very good. So what is with Blood Artisan's Cuirass? So that's more max life, important. Damage after picking up Blood Orbs, useless, but still it's a lot. Blood Orbs restore 11 essence. That is crazy, the amount of essence that restores actually. You could think about playing Blood Artisan's Cuirass in a Bloodlands build over the Mutilator Plate. Ranks to Bone Spirit, obviously. And then they made it down to, if you pick up 3 Blood Orbs, you would get a free Bone Spirit already. That's actually cool. It used to be 5 Blood Orbs. That's 3 Blood Orbs for a free Bone Spirit. Howl from Below was lucky hit chance. That's the same. Corpse attack speed up to 35%. That's incredible. Corpse Explosions, Fear and Slow. Don't need this, but 4 ranks in Corpse Explosion is great. Instead of detonating immediately, it goes out and it goes up to 50% damage. The 4 ranks in Corpse Explosion, they make this though. 4 more ranks in Corpse Explosion is huge. And then you masterwork this up, right? Blood Moon Breaches. So they're 150% overpowered damage. Oh my lord. Chad, listen. So instead of 70, it's 150% overpowered damage. Okay. Your curse skills get 4 ranks. Curse duration is up. Overpowered damage is another 115%. Oh my goodness. I mean, blood's gonna be cooking. Alone, my Bloodlands build was already really good. And you're getting here a double in damage. So from 20 to 40%, right? You're getting 16% max life bonus. And then you masterwork this up. So this one will give you another 25% max life at best. And the Blood Moon Breaches give 150%. Well, hello there. Fazo, howdy. Ring of Mendeln. Okay, please surprise me. This is intelligence, damage, minion attack speed, +1 to scale to warrior mastery, mage mastery, and golem. Every 6th attack from each minion is empowered, exploding for physical damage. I mean, maybe with the bonus stats into masteries, it's worth it now because that's straight up a damage multiplier, right? Scale to warrior and scale to mage and golem mastery. It's just straight up a wholesale damage multiplier for minions. That's actually really nice. Let's look at the multi-class uniques. T-Bald's Will. Okay, T-Bald's Will is still 20%. Damage reduction while unstoppable. Max resource, max life, and all stats. Not too special, right? But okay. X-Felds. Okay, X-Felds, let's see if they fix... Yes! Oh my goodness, X-Felds is crazy now. Because X-Felds used to be a 50% chance to trigger. Now it's a 75% chance to trigger. With all the lucky hit changes, might be getting interesting, Chad. Right? I like this. That's pretty good. Then the Butcher's Cleaver. I think Necros can now wear the Butcher's Cleaver, right? Because Necros can now wear Axis. I mean, still not something you would ever consider, but Necros can now wear Axis. Azure Wrath. Went from attack speed, all stats, still attack speed, cold resistance, has a chance to do cold damage now, and has a chance to then freeze enemies and deal the cold damage too. So that's double lucky hit chance to deal cold damage. Cool. We had Flicker Step. So Flicker Step went from plus 300% ultimate damage. I'm thinking about a Bloodwave build, Chad. So I've been thinking about a Bloodwave build for such a long time. But with Flicker Step, like plus 300% damage is huge. If everything calculates correct, you could be making a very good Bloodwave build. Yen's Blessing was already nice. Movement speed, resistance, casting skill has a chance. Okay, they just essentially made it a bit better. That's it. I mean, the resistance to all elements is kind of nice. They they took the damage reduction away. It makes me a bit sad. We got Soulbrand. Soulbrand was useless. Maybe they managed to make it good. Okay, Barrier Generation is the same, but higher. Damage reduction while healthy, because you have Barrier, so that makes sense instead of close enemies. Then your Healing Potions, Barrier, and you gain 30% damage reduction while you have Barrier. Okay, this is really good. This is actually really cool. So you can finally, with this item, like, it should be unstoppable. We get Frostburn, which just has a chance to deal cold fire damage. And fire and cold damage up by 170%. Okay, and a glove that has intrinsic lucky hit chance. I mean, chat, like, right? A glove that has intrinsic lucky hit chance, let's go. Paingorger's Gauntlets, something that everyone played. So that's now basic skills plus 4 ranks, attack speed, cooldown reduction, and chance to stun. The chance to stun is a bit weird, but the basic skills is insane. So Paingorgers is now, for some builds, even more mandatory. Godslayer Crown. We had cooldown reduction, max life damage. We're now at all stats, max life, damage to elites, so damage to bosses, and cooldown reduction. So the same. And it is against bosses. This effect triggers when dealing damage instead. Okay, so this is still the same. Nothing changed very much. Godslayer Crown was good already. Temerity. Temerity was useless. I hope they fixed this. I mean, useless, okay? Oh, Temerity is insane now. What? Okay, so it gets max life plus. Max life is great. Healing received plus, also great. So the healing received got buffed to 25%. That's huge. 25% more healing and then masterwork it. 7% more life is grade 2. Up to a chance to heal, damage reduction while healthy, and then effects that heal you beyond 100% life grant you barrier up to 100% of your max life. Yes, chat. You can now get a 100% barrier of your max life instead of 80%. That's huge, but getting 40 to 100%, actually the 100% is going to be harsh. Tacet of the Dawning Sky is completely useless, but they made it from all stats, movement speed, maximum resistance to all elements, plus... So with Tacet of the Dawning Sky, you can raise your resistance higher than ever before. Intriguing. Okay, I can see that. So it's like Tyrael's Might soft. Good. Let me check for Rogue quickly because I wanted to know the Kanjar. That's just good. Condemnation is decent. Sky Hunter. The first damage you deal enemies guaranteed precision. It's now Stutter Step and chance for marksman projectiles to cast twice. Wind Force is insane, so a barrage build is actually really good. Eagle Horn is for penetrating shot. We get the Word of Hakan, the Beastfall boots, the Scoundrel's Leather. So Scoundrel's Leather was already nice, because Inner Sight casting a core skill has a chance to spawn Caltrips. So you go crazy. Inner Sight duration is higher than ever now. Okay, that was a complaint that Inner Sight would run out before it ever is useful. From the rest of the uniques, I can't say because I never used them as a rogue. Now let's go up and actually read the patch notes, what they fixed, because they hear additional changes since the PDR are highlighted red. So this is all normal, so we're only going to look at the red things. Only players who open the pit. Nah, it's useless. Bug fixes. So this is all like, right? This is, we knew this. Nothing on this is new. They got new unique for druids. We still have the Path of Trek Ul boots. We have Unholy Tether, so nothing of this changed. Aspect of Nebulous Bruise. Using a healing potion grants movement speed for 3 seconds after moving 20 meters to spawn a healing potion. Huh. Useless. Flurry deals increased damage while up to 40%. That's kind of nice. Actual Conduit. Oh yeah, Actual Conduit was going crazy. That was for things. Okay, all unique items have received an update to better align with their current design. So we have this. It was just rend damage bonus to vulnerable. Oh yes, violent rend. That's great. Damage increased on rend in general. So I'm a rend player. Fury gain increased 45 and maximum. Fury gain increase. So I'm a rend fan, so this makes me really happy. Not flay. I like rending things and then tearing things apart, so it's kind of fun. Thick skin concession. Like there's a lot. Gushing wounds. Okay, previous was now when causing an enemy bleed, you have a 70 to. Okay, so a bleed barb got nerfed, but it's still good. Got nerfed, still good. We get druid, skills. I'm looking for a necro because I want to know what they did to my boy, right? If we actually, okay, so Necromancer now gain 25% more increased skill damage from their primary stat. Yeah, we knew this. Necromancer minions attacks can now overpower. Yes. Minions are now more aggressive and automatically engage nearby enemies. Sure. Slam size increased, but that's useless because we still play Blood Golem. We get more lucky hit, which is good for the Blood Surge, but still not good enough. It's interesting for the Bloodlands, though. Decompose is useless changes. Making Sever more useful is nice. Blood Wave damage increased. This is crazy, right, Chad? So Blood Wave's damage was increased from 150 to 450%. And the new Flicker Stab, so, right? So the new Flicker Stab, because there's the new Flicker Stab all the way down, is now up to 300% bonus damage. So we get the multi-class uniques, and we had the boots, the Flicker Stab. That's 300% ultimate skill damage. And then Blood Wave goes up to 450%. And overpowered damage now went up like even further. So this is getting really interesting to have Blood Wave actually hit super hard. Shadow Blight is still nerfed, sadly. So they haven't actually reeled back on that mistake. Several cooldown reduction. There. I don't like it. Okay, so Bloodbath legendary node is up from 35 to 70%. So now the increase, guys. Let's write that down. The overpower increase. Okay, so overpower necro. So Blood Moon from 70 to 150%. You got the Bloodbath is from 35 to 70%. Then we have Blood Begets, which we're also playing, goes from 30 to 50%, and Mutilator is from 20% also to 40%. So these are the damage increases we're looking at. Okay, Chad? Ta-da. Then if you're looking for the tempering, right? Blood damage increased from 41.5 to 55 to 80%. Blood overpower from 85 to 105. And damage while fortified also. So we're doing more damage than ever with any tempering. This is gonna be great. Okay, but we had all of this, right? Minimal changes. Mage. Just looking if there was anything else that I'm like missing here. Oh, Paragon. Yeah, we get the tempering updates, the endgame bosses. So tormented bosses now drop 5 times the material, was huge. They have more loot in general. They have all tormented bosses have a 5 times chance to drop a mythic at 1.5 chance each. In total, a 7.5 chance to drop a mythic unique. Yes, 7.5 chat from the tormented bosses. Fuck yeah. Helltide commanders always drop a heart. A world boss spawns hearts. So we're just getting more hearts. Profane Mindcages can be stacked 3 times. Yeah. For this season, Helltide chests no longer contain obolds. Okay, makes sense. I can accept that. We've been having way too many obolds, so that's fine, generally, right? Boss health has been reduced across the... Wait, when? We've increased the max level difference you can earn base monster experience. Yeah, that we know that, right? So... Well, tier 4 is 10 to 30, right? 6 to 30, 3 to 30. That makes no sense. Boss health has been reduced across the game. Huh. Pit boss damage has been... Wait, so boss health... But which bosses? So pit bosses do less damage, but which bosses boss health just from any boss anywhere? I don't understand which boss health just was reduced. The Bandit Sharpshooter boss has been replaced with Mother's Judgment. I hate it here. Mother's Judgment is probably the worst boss ever. Not happy. Okay, this is solid. Expect the video tomorrow, but I'm going to cut you out here, chat, because I am very excited. I'll be dropping probably a Necromancer only video. We'll be talking about Season 5. Yeah, we'll have a Once Human video. We'll have a Diablo video. There's tons of stuff coming for you tomorrow, okay? That's why I need to go to bed now. I'll see you all tomorrow. Have a great good night, and see you soon again.